Chapter 105. Hearing Ning Tian's words, Ling Ao smiled. Ancestral Master, we came out after you. These people should have come out after you, right? Ling Ao looked around. All kinds of doors opened, and many people came out. Tianma cult disciples, Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground, Lingshu sect, One Sword sect, and Hachi sect all came out of the door of life and death one after another. Seeing so many people, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a hint of doubt. How could so many people come out of the dream world? What kind of dream did you experience? Ning Tian asked in surprise. Dream world? Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo were stunned. The two of them looked at each other, and then looked at Ning Tian in confusion. Ancestral Master, what dream world? Ning Tian was silent for a moment. He seemed to have thought of something, and a few black lines appeared on his forehead. Don't tell me that the two of you came out of the door of life. Yeah. Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo nodded seriously. What's wrong, Ancestral Master? As soon as they finished speaking, the two of them looked at Ning Tian. Ancestral Master, what's wrong? Why is your face so dark? Ancestral Master, this is a sign of kidney deficiency. Zhu Yuanbo chuckled, took out a small jade bottle, and lowered his voice to Ning Tian. Ancestral Master, this is the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Grounds collection of essential body-replenishing spiritual pills for male cultivators. It only costs 3,000 spirit coins. What do you think? Also, let me tell you, young Master Ling just bought 2 of them. Ling Ao's face darkened. Hey, damn fatty, what happened to the promise of absolute confidentiality? Hee. Zhu Yuanbo chuckled. No need. Ning Tian shook his head. Spirit coins were the common currency of the profound sky world. However, he did not bring a single one with him because he had no use for them at the moment. Did you mean that you came out of the gate of life and not the gate of dreams? Ning Tian looked at the two of them again. That's right. After I entered, I encountered a few evil souls at the peak of the Earth King realm. After I killed them, I arrived at a waiting space, where I met Zhu Yuanbo. Ling Ao said slowly. At the side, Zhu Yuanbo also nodded in agreement. At this time, Ning Tian seemed to understand that the gate of life was not an absolute gate of death. Outside of the gate of dreams, there was a real gate of life. F***CK, system, you tricked me. Ning Tian cursed in his heart. The system felt wronged. Host, you can't blame the system for this. You can only blame it on the fact that Sansheng wasn't thinking about that when he used the mind-reading card. All right. Hearing the system's words, Ning Tian could only nod and let it go. Wait. At this time, Ling Ao seemed to have thought of something. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, and he said involuntarily, Grandmaster, don't tell me. You came out of the Gate of Dreams. Gate of Dreams. Hearing this, many of the people who had walked out of the Real Gate of Life were shocked. They all looked over. So it's the legendary Grandmaster of the Tianma cult. Did the legendary Grandmaster really come out of the Gate of Dreams? This is the dream realm set up by the great Emperor. Everyone was discussing, and their voices were full of surprise. TSK, this guy is so lucky. Why didn't he die in the Gate of Dreams? What a pity. In the One Sword sect, Lin Xiaoyao hid among the disciples and looked at Ning Tian viciously. He sighed in his heart. Hearing Ling Ao's words, Ning Tian nodded lightly. Hiss. Sure enough, he came out of the dream realm. Is the Grandmaster of the Tianma cult really so strong? He's only in the Earth Monarch stage. Hearing Ning Tian's affirmation, Ling Ao and the others were shocked. While everyone was shocked, the system's beautiful voice sounded in Ning Tian's mind. You have shocked Ling Ao and the others. You are rewarded with the low-level Earth rank martial art, sword technique, shadow following. Comprehending at 10 times the speed. Comprehension successful. Grandmaster. The remaining disciples of the Tianma cult came over, each of them slightly injured. Of the 18 Tianma cult disciples who came together, only 7 were left. It's okay. As long as you came out alive. You're injured, so heal yourselves. Ning Tian looked at the 7 of them and sighed. No one expected that the Celestial Master's mausoleum would change into the Great Emperor's mausoleum. Along the way, There were a lot of dangers for no reason. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the remaining disciples of the Tianma cult nodded and prepared to heal their injuries. Seeing this, Zhu Yuanbua immediately came over, looking like a profiteer. He chuckled and said, "Brothers of the Tianma cult, do you need a healing spirit pill? It's not expensive, 5,000 spirit coins for one." The disciples of the Tianma cult were speechless. Ning Tian glanced at this guy and thought to himself, is the reason why the heavenly treasure Holy Land is so rich because of their profiteering? There's no need. You can keep your healing spiritual pills for yourself. While the disciples of the Tianma cult were in a dilemma, Ning Tian shook his head at Zhu Yuanbua. "Ah, I see. All right then." Zhu Yuanbua sighed in his heart. It seemed that the legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult was a shrewd calculator. With him around, it would be difficult for him to do business. After rejecting Zhu Yuanbua, Ning Tian looked at the 7 disciples. "Swallow the healing baodan that you carry with you and prepare to recover." "Yes, Patriarch." The 7 of them nodded. Immediately, they took out jade bottles from their clothes, took out the healing baodan from them, and swallowed it. Although it was only a baodan, Ning Tian had a way to make it work. After the 7 Tianma cult disciples swallowed the baodan, Ning Tian's spirit energy turned into a guzheng. He played the strings, and heavenly music sounded. Hearing this, the surrounding people were stunned. The legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult was in such a good mood. He was actually playing the guzheng here. Ning Tian calmed down and activated the 20 entertainment path spiritual meridians in his body. Entertainment path activated. The music of healing played. Then, accompanied by the sound of the guzheng, the injuries of the 7 Tianma cult disciples were continuously healed with the help of the healing baodan. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. The legendary patriarch actually had such a skill? You have shocked everyone. Reward: Spirit Energy Cultivation, plus 300. A few minutes later, the guzheng with spirit energy dissipated, and the bursts of heavenly music slowly stopped. The injuries of the 7 Tianma cult disciples were more than half healed. "Thank you, Patriarch." The 7 of them felt that their injuries were healed, and their faces were full of joy. No need to say more. Ning Tian waved his hand, put away the guzheng, and waited silently. The entire lake had been divided into several major forces. They all stood by the lake, waiting. If the Gate of Life and Death was the 2nd level, then the 3rd level would be next. Chapter 106. While waiting for the 3rd trial, Ning Tian didn't stay idle. He checked his personal attributes on the system interface. Host: Ning Tian, Strength, Earth King 4 stars, Constitution, Heavenly God Constitution, Small Success, Cultivation Method, Divine Level Cultivation Method, Heavenly God Record, Small Success, Martial Arts, Swimming Dragon Step, Heavenly Demon Palm, Heavenly Sound Attack, Flash and Shift, Sword Technique, Shadow Following, etc. Cultivation Method: 10 times Cultivation, Martial Arts Comprehension, 10 times Comprehension, Spiritual Energy Absorption, 10 times Absorption. The above was Ning Tian's personal attribute interface. Seeing the small success of the Heavenly God Constitution, Ning Tian frowned. It seemed that his Heavenly God Constitution was only at the small success stage. This was not surprising. Apart from the fact that he had the Heavenly God Constitution, coupled with the system's tenfold speed of cultivation, his cultivation speed was extremely fast, and he had the Lightning Calamity Spirit Vein. The Heavenly God Constitution was almost useless. It turned out that his Heavenly God Constitution was only at the small success stage. But how could he upgrade the Heavenly God Constitution? After thinking for a long time, it was still to no avail. There were more and more people around the lake. Ning Tian counted. Including them, there were about 90 people left on the lake. Tsk tisk. Ning Tian couldn't help but sigh. Before entering the mausoleum of the Great Emperor, there were hundreds of people, but now there were only about 90 people left. A large number of people died under the pressure of the Great Emperor. Now, there were only about 90 people left in the Door of Life and Death. Of those who survived, apart from Ning Tian, most of them were lucky to have survived. Another 10 minutes passed. Most of the people who were injured in the Door of Life and Death had already recovered. In these 10 minutes, no door opened again. They were probably the only ones who walked out of the door of life and death. Those people either died in the door of life and death or fell into endless dreams. Boom. Suddenly, a roar came from the lake. Boom. The earth shook and the mountains shook. The entire lake seemed to be boiling. What's going on? Is something going to happen? Seeing this situation, the surrounding people swallowed their saliva, their eyes filled with nervousness. Patriarch, look over there. At this moment, a Tiamat cult disciple seemed to have discovered something and hurriedly pointed in a direction. Hearing that, Ning Tian looked over, and so did the others. On the island in the middle of the lake, the towering ancient tree shook violently. One could vaguely see several balls of light hidden within the leaves, emitting a faint light. What's that? Everyone was stunned. Ning Tian narrowed her eyes. She looked through the light and saw what was inside. Shockingly, they were weapons. Judging from its aura, it was at least a spiritual weapon. What are you trying to do? Looking at those weapons, Ning Tian's eyes didn't have the slightest bit of greed. Just now, the dream of greed was full of immortal weapons, which didn't attract him. Naturally, these weapons wouldn't be of any use. He was even more puzzled. These balls of light enveloped the weapons and were hidden between the leaves. What was he trying to do? Could it be related to the third trial? At this moment, many people in the surroundings also discovered that within the ball of light, there were many weapons. Wow, these are all weapons. The lowest grade is a spiritual weapon. A glint flashed in the eyes of the group of people. Unlike Ning Tian, they were the patriarchs of the Tiamat cult and didn't lack spiritual weapons at all. To them, spiritual weapons were a fatal attraction. A suitable spiritual weapon could increase one's battle prowess. Hey, aren't they just some spiritual weapons? Do they have to be so excited? Seeing the group of people's excitement, Zhu Yuanbua touched the immortal weapon in his hand with a puzzled expression. The surrounding people, the corners of their mouths twitched. At this moment, they felt that the damn fatty of the heavenly treasure sacred ground was so annoying. F***CK, that's an immortal weapon. At this moment, everyone's eyes were attracted by an extremely bright light. Its ball of light was far brighter than the surrounding spiritual weapon balls of light. This must be an immortal weapon. Damn, there's more than one. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people instantly widened their eyes. Their breathing quickened, and their eyes burned. Immortal weapons. They're all immortal weapons. Huff, I can't take it anymore. Immortal weapons, I want them. The temptation of immortal weapons made their eyes red. A burly man roared, and his holy emperor aura erupted as he charged toward the island in the lake. Boom. At this moment, an aura appeared, and a black figure appeared in front of the towering ancient tree. He looked indifferently at the burly man who was about to charge over and raised his hand. How dare you? How dare you break the rules? You're courting death. The moment he raised his hand, his spiritual chi turned into a giant palm and landed lightly. Boom. The giant palm of spiritual chi slapped the burly man to the ground. When he raised his hand again, the holy emperor expert was already a bloody mess. Hiss. He killed a 3-star holy emperor expert in an instant. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people who wanted to charge over suddenly changed their expressions. A trace of shock flashed in their eyes, and their hearts were filled with joy. Fortunately, they hesitated and didn't follow. Otherwise, they would have ended up like the burly man. Everyone looked at the black-robed figure. He had a handsome face and looked very young. Senior, may I ask who you are? Ling Ao looked at the black-robed man, bowed, and asked carefully. Ning Tian also looked at the black-robed man. For some reason, he felt that the black-robed man looked familiar. Emperor, Sansheng. The black-robed man said indifferently. His eyes were cold. Third, Sansheng? Everyone was stunned. Then, they reacted. This black-robed man was Sansheng? So, it's him. Ning Tian understood. He was also wondering why he looked familiar. Senior Sansheng, weren't you outside? Everyone asked in confusion. Wasn't this the trial? Also, why did this Sansheng look so much younger? The one outside is the remnant soul of the emperor, and the emperor is just an examiner who stayed behind long ago, the young Sansheng said indifferently. His tone was cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. This was completely different from how he was in his old age. Then, Senior Sansheng, this lake is the third trial, right? At this moment, Ning Tian said slowly. That's right. The young three-sage great emperor nodded. This lake will be your third trial. This is the third trial? Hearing the young Sansheng's words, everyone was stunned. What would the third trial be like? Everyone's eyes were on the three saint emperors. The young three-saint heavenly emperor slowly said, the third trial is to form teams of 10 and take the light weapons from the ancient tree behind me. Note that not just any weapon will do. It has to be an immortal weapon. If you don't get an immortal weapon, the outcome is simple. One word, death. Chapter 107. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines when they heard the word die. They would definitely die if they didn't get an immortal artifact. This, Senior Sansheng, how many immortal artifacts are there in this light orb? A young man asked. 10 people, 10 light orbs, and 1 immortal artifact. The young Sansheng said lightly. 10 people? 10 light orbs for 1 immortal artifact? Hiss! Hearing this, everyone's expression changed, and they all sucked in a breath of cold air. According to Sansheng's words, 10 people would get 1 immortal artifact. Did that not mean that only 1 out of 10 people could survive? Such a low survival rate? At this moment, everyone looked at the people around them as if they were looking at a great enemy. Under such circumstances, some people could not even trust their own sect. Only 1 out of 10 people could survive. Out of the 90 people present, only 9 would survive. What's wrong? The young Sansheng glanced at everyone and said indifferently, Don't tell me you're dissatisfied with the emperor's words? No, we wouldn't dare. How can we not dare if it's Sansheng? Everyone shook their heads when they heard that. Cold sweat ran down their backs. In that case, let's begin, said the third Saint Emperor indifferently. Then, he waved his hand and everyone's bodies flew into the air uncontrollably. They did not even have a chance to struggle. Is this the power of a great emperor? Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The feeling of having their lives in someone else's hands was too unbearable. Get ready. I'm going to assign people on the spot. The young Sansheng's voice rang out. Everyone prayed in their hearts. It would be best if they were assigned some weak people so that they could survive. Most of them were praying for the weak to be assigned. However, Ning Tian heard the thoughts of Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbua from the mind-reading card. Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbua thought, Holiest H*T, please don't. Please don't assign us to the ancestral master, please. I still want to live for 2 more years. Ning Tian was speechless. Was he that scary? These 2 fellows were Saint Emperors. Why did it feel like they were so cowardly? Sansheng's power appeared. Then, everyone felt as if space was moving, and their bodies were moving along with it. A few seconds later, the sense of movement disappeared. Immediately, the crowd turned to look beside them. Seeing that there were weaklings around, he heaved a sigh of relief. Seeing that there were experts here, tears flowed down his cheeks. He was done for. Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbua were not assigned together. When they saw that Ning Tian was not beside them, they were relieved. Fortunately, the monstrous patriarch is not by my side. My little life is saved. That was what the 2 of them thought. After that, Ning Tian looked to his side. His group consisted of 3 disciples from the Solitary Sword sect, 3 from the Fusion sect, and 3 Saint Kings from Celestial Exalts. 6 righteous disciples? Seeing the 6 of them, Ning Tian narrowed his eyes. Without a doubt, these 6 people would definitely have some thoughts about him. He had to be careful. Phew! Seeing Ning Tian and the others, the 3 Saint Kings heaved a sigh of relief. Including Ning Tian, the rest were all Earth Kings. They were not a threat to them. Although the patriarch of the Tianma cult was a little strange, it was fine as long as they did not provoke him. Haha. Among the 3 from the Solitary Sword sect, Lin Xiaoyao happened to be among them. He looked at Ning Tian viciously. Ning Tian, oh Ning Tian, it seems that the heavens have no way to save people. You are destined to die in my hands. Although Lin Xiaoyao's Taoist heart was damaged, His strength was still at the 8 stars of the Earth King realm. It was just that he could not make any progress. And the 5 people beside him were all his helpers. Today, he would make Ning Tian die here. Emperor, I'll emphasize it again. At that moment, young Sanqing's voice sounded. After you start, Emperor will hide the light balls. You will not be able to see the weapons with your naked eyes. When your hand touches the weapon light ball, it means that you have chosen this weapon light ball. It cannot be changed, and others cannot snatch it. Emperor has an hourglass in his hand. If the hourglass ends and you don't touch it, it will be considered a failure. So, don't think about wasting time. Touch and lock on. There was a time limit. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. If that was the case, they had to think twice before acting. Get ready to begin. Young Sanqing did not give them any time to think at all. He directly pulled out a group of 10 people. Then, he waved his hand. In front of the ancient tree, there were only 10 light balls left. He waved his hand again. The 10 light balls that were originally visible instantly became hazy. Even their auras were exactly the same. Seeing this scene, many of the powerhouses who wanted to use their auras to identify them felt their hearts sink. There was no aura. How were they going to choose? Did they really have to rely on fate? You guys, begin. Young Sanqing looked at the 10 nervous people. As his voice fell, the Saint Emperor took the lead and flew into the sky. Haha, everyone, I'll be going first. His idea was simple. Most of the people in his group were Earth Kings and could not fly. He could use the advantage of being a Saint Emperor and fly directly in front of the 10 light balls to slowly consider. Damn it! When they saw this scene, the other Earth King realm experts gritted their teeth and had helpless expressions on their faces. That was the advantage of being able to fly. Haha, I want both the immortal artifact and my life. The Saint Emperor flew into the sky and laughed loudly. He was very fast and rushed to the center of the lake. He was very close to the ancient tree. Boom! Suddenly, a burst of aura exploded. The Saint Emperor's body suddenly fell from the sky. What? Why can't we fly here? A trace of shock flashed in the Saint Emperor's eyes. Then, he wanted to circulate his spiritual energy to ensure that he would not fall into the water. Roar! At this moment, a huge wave suddenly rose in the water, and then a huge black shadow rushed out of the water. Just one bite. Then, he swallowed the Saint Emperor into his mouth. Then, it dived into the water again. The whole process did not even take a second. Everyone did not even see the black shadow's appearance clearly. They only saw a huge splash. Just now. What was that? Everyone was panicking. What a powerful flood dragon. A trace of seriousness flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. Although that thing only appeared for a second, he saw the black shadow's appearance clearly. It was a dragon. Its strength was very strong. It was probably much stronger than the black dragon riders of the Tianma cult. Seeing that the Saint Emperor was swallowed, a trace of shock flashed in the eyes of the other 9 people. They thought to themselves, we can't fly in the sky. We can only pass through the water. Otherwise, we might be swallowed by that black shadow. Damn it! A person stood out. I don't believe that my shadow step sect's shadow step can't pass through. Chapter 108. Shadow Step Sect? Hearing this person's words, everyone was stunned. This Shadow Step Sect was only a heavenly venerable faction. However, they were famous for their speed. Everyone's attention was on the Shadow Step Sect disciple. Could he succeed? The Shadow Step Sect disciple took a deep breath and looked at the island. Immediately, the spirit chi under his feet began to circulate. Damn it, let's go all out. There was a loud shout. The Shadow Step Sect disciple turned into a shadow and flashed across the lake. His speed was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, he had crossed 2/5 of the lake. So fast. Can he succeed? Seeing this speed, everyone was shocked and their eyes were burning. In the blink of an eye, another 1/5 of the way. Is he going to succeed? Everyone was puzzled. The Shadow Step Sect disciple's face was already filled with joy. Boom! At this moment, a whirlpool appeared in the lake below him, and then a black shadow rushed out of the lake. Roar! In an instant, the water dissipated, and the shadow step sect disciple had fallen into the black shadow's stomach and entered the water. The surroundings were silent, and everyone's faces were ugly. Before choosing a weapon, they had to avoid the pursuit of the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake. The third sage Great Emperor did not mention this. However, they did not dare to have any dissatisfaction. Then, the remaining 8 people, seeing the hourglass in Sancheng's hand continue to flow, began to try. Trying was better than waiting for death. A few minutes later, there were some faint bloodstains on the lake's surface. For these 10 heavenly venerable powerhouses, not to mention choosing a weapon, even reaching the island and crossing the lake had become a luxury, a short distance of 200 meters. But it was a dead end. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian pondered for a moment. He seemed to understand Sancheng's intention. This was very similar to what he said. The road to becoming a god was to destroy the road to becoming an emperor. The island on the lake was the battlefield of the battle for the deity position, and the distance from the lake to the island was the ancient road to becoming a god. Perhaps this was the obsession of the third saint emperor. After all, back then, he also fell on the ancient road to becoming a god, and did not even reach the battlefield of the battle for the deity position. For example, they had died on the lake before they could even touch the island. Group 1, annihilated. All 10 of them had died, but the young Sancheng was not moved in the slightest, as if it was a common occurrence. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. This was too difficult. This trial was far from being as simple as they had imagined. Next, the young Sancheng's gaze stopped at Ning Tian's group. Next, it's you guys. With a wave of his hand, Ning Tian and the others regained their freedom. Go! The 10 of them walked to the lakeside and looked at the distance of only 200 meters. However, at this moment, it seemed so far away. None of them moved, because they knew that the first to move would definitely attract the demonic beast's attention. As long as the first person attracted attention, the other 9 people would make their move at that moment. Everyone. One of the 3 Saint Kings stepped forward. He looked at the 9 of them and suggested, "Everyone, we can't waste time like this, or we'll all die. In my opinion, why don't we all move together and rely on our own abilities when we reach the lake? In this way, no one will be at a disadvantage. What do you think?" Hearing this, the 9 of them thought for a moment and nodded. "I have no problem with that. I think so too." The Saint Emperor smiled. "If that's the case, then it's settled." Immediately, the 10 of them circulated their spiritual chi and charged towards the island. They're actually moving together. In this case, let's see who's unlucky and will be attacked by the demonic beast. Seeing that Ning Tian and the others were moving together, the surrounding people exclaimed and their eyes flashed. If this method was feasible, they could use it as a reference later. Boom! 10 bursts of spiritual chi shot out. Ning Tian did not immediately use the swimming dragon steps and maintained his speed at a medium speed. As long as he did not charge at the front, he would still have a chance. Rumble. The surface of the lake began to ripple, and the 10 of them felt their hearts tighten. The demonic beast at the bottom of the lake was about to charge out. Boom. In the next moment, as expected, the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake charged towards a Saint King. The huge bloody mouth suddenly opened. However, the Saint King reacted quickly and dodged in a flash. That was close. Cold sweat flowed down his back. It seems that if I'm careful, I can dodge the dragon's attack. Ning Tian's eyes flashed. If he used the swimming dragon steps and dodged with all his might, he should be faster than the Saint King. Boom. At this moment, the surface of the lake beneath him rippled. Following that, the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake that had just failed to attack actually targeted him. Swimming dragon steps. Ning Tian roared in his heart as he stepped on the swimming dragon steps and turned into an afterimage. He dodged the attack of the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake. So fast. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people's eyes flashed with a trace of solemnity. Such speed was actually displayed by an Earth Monarch realm cultivator, as expected of the legendary founder of the Tianma cult. Haha, founder is amazing. Ling Ao's eyes flashed with starlight, as if he was a little fanboy. After the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake failed to attack, it hid at the bottom of the lake again. Phew! Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief. It was really scary but not dangerous. Boom. However, before he could react, the sound of an explosion of spirit chi came from behind him. Low Earth rank martial art, sword technique, shadow following, sword intent at will. Sword technique, shadow following, activated. Ning Tian held the red cloud sword in his hand. Together with the swimming dragon steps, he left 5 afterimages on the lake. He slashed with his sword. The 5 afterimages actually did the same thing. Boom. The unstoppable sword intent stuck close to the surface of the water. The surface of the water was vaguely divided into 2 as it rushed toward the 5 Earth King's stage experts. Bang! The 5 of them were shocked. Then, they immediately circulated their spiritual energy to block it. But at this moment, the sword intent disappeared into thin air. The afterimages that were originally left on the lake appeared in front of them. Then, the sword intent that had disappeared burst out from the 5 afterimages. What? What a fast sword! The 5 of them were shocked. They wanted to block it, but it was already too late. A hideous sword injury appeared on their chest. Puff. Blood flowed continuously. Under the impact of the sword intent, the 5 of them fell directly onto the surface of the water. What welcomed them was the bloody mouth of the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake. Roar! It swallowed them in one gulp. With one sword in one mouth, the 5 of them were instantly killed. What? Lin Xiaoyao's face changed drastically. He was stunned on the spot. Suddenly, a voice rang out beside him. Thief Lin, when you're fighting, don't be distracted. Ning Tian sneered. Black gas flowed in his hand, and he blasted out a palm. Heavenly Demon Palm. Activated. Boom. The palm directly hit Lin Xiaoyao's head. The current Ning Tian was no longer the same as before. His strength was far beyond imagination. Bang! Lin Xiaoyao's head split open like a watermelon. The corpse fell into the lake and quickly entered the mouth of the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake. Ning Tian had 2 palms. One of them broke Lin Xiaoyao's Dao heart, and the other directly wiped out his life. While the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake was devouring the corpses, Ning Tian hurriedly used the swimming dragon steps and walked toward the small island. So strong. Seeing Ning Tian kill 6 people in the blink of an eye, the surrounding people widened their eyes. Most importantly, the 6 of them were all stronger than him. What a fast sword! As expected of the ancestral master. The ancestral master is too awesome. Seeing Ning Tian use sword intent, Ling Ao admired him from the bottom of his heart. Ning Tian rushed to the island. After being delayed by Lin Xiaoyao for quite some time, 2 of the 3 Holy Emperor stage powerhouses had already chosen their light balls. There was one more person who was watching. System, use the treasure hunting card. Ning Tian said indifferently in his heart. It was best to use the treasure hunting card now. Using treasure hunting card. Use successful. Current treasure hunting card duration. 1 hour. Once the treasure hunting card was used, Ning Tian's eyes shone with golden light as he looked at the light balls. The treasures in them were self-evident. Seeing that the 2 Holy Emperor stage powerhouses only chose spirit tools, Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief. However, before he could relax, he saw the final Saint Emperor stretch out his hand towards a ball of light. That light ball was an immortal tool. F***CK. Ning Tian was shocked and thought of something. He shouted, "Immortal tool." Then, using the swimming dragon steps, he quickly rushed toward a light ball. His voice stunned the Holy Emperor stage powerhouse. His hand that was only 5 centimeters away from the light ball stopped. Seeing Ning Tian rush toward a light ball, he was stunned. This kid seems to be the legendary ancestral master of the Tianma cult. He might have the treasure hunting method that the Empress gave him. He rolled his eyes and suddenly came to a realization. What Ning Tian was rushing toward might be an immortal tool. Ha ha ha. My apologies, ancestral master of the Tianma cult. The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse laughed loudly as a ferocious spirit chi blasted toward Ning Tian. Seeing this, Ning Tian could only pretend to dodge and was a beat slower. The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse took the opportunity and rushed to the light ball first. What are you doing? Ning Tian pretended to be flustered. This is not an immortal tool. It's just an ordinary spirit tool. Ha ha ha. The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse laughed. If it's a spirit tool, why are you running so fast, Ancestral Master? I. Ning Tian gritted his teeth and pretended to be angry. I saw it first. Haha, but I was the one who touched it first. The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse was very pleased as he placed his hand on the light ball smugly. Seeing this, the two Holy Emperor stage powerhouses who had already chosen felt their hearts turn cold and regret. They should have waited for the Ancestral Master to choose. He was the Empress's husband. He must have some treasure-hunting methods. Sigh. I was too careless. Ancestral Master, seeing Ning Tian's light ball being snatched, Ling Ao and the disciples of the Tianma cult immediately became worried. Many sighed, and some gloated. Sigh. In that case, then I can only choose a real immortal tool with tears in my eyes. Ning Tian sighed, but he could not hold back the smile on his face. Real immortal tool? The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse was stunned. What do you mean? Before he could react, he saw Ning Tian walk to the light ball he wanted to choose and gently press his hand down. Boom. In an instant, the aura exploded. It's over, the young Sansheng said calmly. Everyone looked at Sansheng, waiting for him to reveal the truth. Boom. The young Holy Emperor waved his hand, and the 10 balls of light slowly dissipated into thin air. Everyone looked over. Spiritual tool. Another spiritual tool. Seeing that the light balls in the hands of the two Holy Emperor stage powerhouses were spiritual tools, everyone was shocked. Say, kid, you're messing with me. Suddenly, the Saint King, who had been pleased with himself, screamed miserably. Everyone looked over and saw that the light ball in his hand was only a spiritual tool, not an immortal tool. Everyone was stunned. When did I say that it was an immortal tool? I seem to have said that it was a spiritual tool, right? Ning Tian smiled helplessly and spread his hands. You just don't believe it. You. The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse was furious. Seeing this scene, a sentence suddenly appeared in everyone's mind. Ancestral Master is so despicable. Even so, you might not be an immortal tool. The Holy Emperor stage powerhouse snorted coldly and gritted his teeth. At this moment, the light ball in Ning Tian's hand dissipated, and a dazzling light burst out. That was an immortal tool. Me? Seeing that the light ball was actually an immortal tool, the Holy Emperor stage powerhouse vomited blood. He was so close. He was so close to touching it. CK. He was fooled by that bastard Tianma cult. Chapter 110. The dazzling ball of light slowly disappeared. Within the ball of light was a guzheng, an immortal artifact of the entertainment Tao. This was what Ning Tian had always wanted. Mid-grade immortal artifact, immortal slashing guzheng. Hee. Ning Tian grinned and put away the immortal slashing guzheng without hesitation. He had risked his life to choose it, so there was no reason for him to return it. Moreover, the young Sansheng had never said that he had to return the immortal artifact he had obtained. I didn't expect that the one in the Ancestral Master's hand was the real immortal artifact. Ling Ao's eyes widened. Many people in the surroundings were also dumbfounded. When Ning Tian had rushed towards the ball of light, they had really believed that the ball of light was an immortal artifact. When they saw that the ball of light that Ning Tian had chosen was snatched away by the Saint Emperor, they were all worried for Ning Tian. However, they didn't expect that the ball of light that the Saint Emperor had chosen at the start was the real immortal artifact. On the other hand, Ning Tian had merely created a diversion with the goal of deceiving this Saint Emperor realm expert. The Ancestral Master's methods are really good. Ling Ao took a deep breath. If that Saint Emperor realm expert could be firm and control the greed in his heart, then the one who would survive would be him. Ning Tian was gambling again. He was gambling with his life, and fortunately, he had made the right bet. Pfft. The Saint Emperor was so angry that he spat out blood. His eyes were filled with anger. The ancestral master of the Tianma cult is really good. He gritted his teeth. The chance to survive was right in front of him. It was within his reach. However, because of the greed in his heart, he gave up just like that. He was so angry. You are really despicable. The Saint Emperor glared at Ning Tian. Hee, I wonder if you have heard of this saying? Ning Tian smiled and looked at the Saint Emperor. What saying? The Saint Emperor was stunned. Ning Tian grinned. If a tree doesn't care about its bark, it will definitely die. But if a person doesn't care about his face, he will be invincible. You, pooh. The Saint King rolled his eyes and blacked out. He directly fainted and fell into the lake. In the lake. Oh, whoa. The eyes of the thirsty demonic beast at the bottom of the lake lit up when it saw a human meat pie falling from the sky. It leaped out of the water and swallowed the Saint King. Everyone was speechless as they looked at Ning Tian strangely. A perfectly fine Saint Emperor had been angered to death by the ancestral master just like that. Brilliant. It's really amazing. In the crowd, Zhu Yuanbua gave Ning Tian a thumbs up, his face full of admiration. If I were as shameless as the patriarch, I would definitely be able to lead the heavenly treasure Holy Land to become the wealthiest force in the second heaven. Zhu Yuanbua's heart was filled with yearning. He thought that he was shameless enough, but he did not expect the ancestral master to be even more shameless than him. Amazing! The ancestral master of the Tianma cult is indeed outstanding. The crowd was stunned for a moment, and they were slightly shocked. Hearing their words, Ning Tian was speechless. If he did not do that, he would not be able to beat that Saint Emperor at all. After all, that was a peak Saint Emperor. Even if he used swimming dragon steps and dodging maneuvers at full speed, he would not be faster than a peak Saint Emperor. At this moment, the system's voice rang in his mind. You have shocked everyone slightly. You are rewarded with the title of Shameless. Title, Shameless. Effect, increases the defense of the face. Ning Tian was stunned. He was going crazy. What the hell was with the title of Shameless? Hey, the system said proudly, replying to the host, the system has already said that the system has everything. As long as you can't think of it, there is nothing the system can't do. Ning Tian was silent. He touched his face. Other than the sharp edges, he could clearly feel that his face was much thicker. Was this the so-called effect of increasing the defense of the face? System, thank you so much. Ning Tian was almost gritting his teeth as he said this in his heart. The system smiled. You're welcome, host. Ning Tian's mouth twitched. He thought that he was already very despicable, but he did not expect the system to be even more despicable than him. At this moment, young Sanxing said lightly, It's over. According to the rules, one person will survive. As soon as he finished speaking, a trace of fear flashed in the eyes of the remaining two Saint Emperors. Without any hesitation, they turned and ran. Were they really going to sit here and wait for death? The two of them channeled their spirit chi, wanting to rush out of the island. Roar! At this moment, a furious roar rang out. The surface of the lake boiled, water splashed into the sky, and the entire lake was stirred up. The demonic beast at the bottom of the lake suddenly rushed out of the water, opened its bloody mouth, and swallowed the two fleeing Saint Emperors into its stomach. Then, it dived back to the bottom of the lake in satisfaction. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were all shocked. They finally saw the true body of the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake. It was actually a dragon. To be able to swallow two peak Saint Emperors in one gulp, this was at least a demonic beast equivalent to a human heavenly venerable. A heavenly venerable demonic beast. Oh my God, it's actually a heavenly venerable demonic beast. Some of the Earth Monarch Realm disciples almost cried. They were not the legendary patriarchs of the Tianma cult. If the demonic beast at the bottom of the lake really wanted to swallow them, they would have no chance at all. They could only run for their lives. The rest could only be left to the will of the heavens. The second group has ended. From the beginning to the end, The young 3 Saint Emperors remained unperturbed. His eyes remained indifferent. Go over there and wait. Young Sansheng looked at Ning Tian and pointed to a spot on the island. There was a wooden pavilion there. Yes, Senior Sansheng. Ning Tian nodded. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, he walked to the wooden pavilion. The trial continued. Ning Tian sat in the wooden pavilion and took out the middle-grade immortal artifact he had just obtained, the immortal slashing Guzheng. Now, it naturally recognized him as its master. Gently stroking the Guzheng, Ning Tian could feel the strong immortal music Tao within. Was it not as strong as the Guzheng he had formed with spirit qi? Hee. Ning Tian grinned. The 2 Tao technique attacks that he was proficient in were both immortal artifacts. Then, he dripped his blood to recognize him as its master. When the essence blood fell onto the strings, a cold light flashed across the immortal slashing Guzheng. Ning Tian instantly took control of the Guzheng. What is this? Suddenly, Ning Tian noticed something different. This music Tao immortal artifact actually had a spirit attack. It was an attack that went straight to the soul and shook the soul. However, it needed to be bound to the immortal slashing Guzheng's spirit. How could Ning Tian not want an attack that could use the spirit to sense, attack the soul, and shake the soul? Therefore, he did not hesitate to bind his spirit. At this moment, Ning Tian's hand lightly touched the strings of the zither, and she instantly sensed an extremely clear spiritual touch. Chapter 111. As expected of a divine soul connection that only music Tao weapons have, Ning Tian nodded in satisfaction. With this divine soul connection, his perception of music Tao had increased significantly. Wait, something's not right. Suddenly, Ning Tian realized something. He seemed to have used Yaoqi Saintess's Guzheng earlier. There must be a divine soul connection between Yaoqi Saintess and the Guzheng on it. No wonder Yaoqi Saintess blushed so much when he played the music. With this soul sense, he could clearly feel the movements on the strings. That feeling was like the touch of a caress on his body. Damn! Ning Tian's mouth twitched. If he touched Yaoqi Saintess's Guzheng, wouldn't he be touching her body? Forget it. Anyway, it was just a disguise. He was not really touching her. Ning Tian shook his head. After putting away the immortal exalted Guzheng, his gaze fell on the lake. The trial was still ongoing. With Ning Tian's team of 10, they had a good start. Next, everyone moved in groups of 10. As for who would be eaten, it would depend on the taste of the monster at the bottom of the lake. If they wanted to eat lean meat, they would choose lean meat. If they wanted to eat fatty meat, they would choose fatter meat. After all, they were facing a heavenly venerable monster. Without strength, they could only leave it to fate. Next, the monster at the bottom of the lake had a full meal. However, there were still many people from each team who made it to the island. For example, Ling Ao used the high void steps and was extremely fast. While the monster at the bottom of the lake was eating others, he rushed directly to the island. As for Zhu Yuanbua, his method was simple and crude. He fed the immortal artifact gold ingot until it swelled, and then directly burrowed into the immortal artifact gold ingot. The monster at the bottom of the lake originally had him in its mouth, but after feeling like a tortoise shell, it spat him out just like that. Just like that, Zhu Yuanbao landed on the island unhurriedly. Seeing this, many people were envious. Sometimes, being rich could save one's life. Nearly an hour later, the trial finally ended. The surface of the lake was already covered in blood. The demonic beasts at the bottom of the lake could be said to have eaten their fill. In the end, there were only 5 people left, including Ning Tian, Ling Ao, Zhu Yuanbua, and 2 Saint Emperors from Celestial Venerables, Li Ren and Lu Kun. The reason why the 4 of them were able to survive was because they had the ability to search for treasures. There was no need to mention Zhu Yuanbua. As the holy son of the heavenly treasure sacred land, he didn't lack treasure hunting methods. The disciples of my Tianma cult were all wiped out in the end. Ning Tian sighed. Even if he wanted to help them, there was nothing he could do. Out of all the forces that had come to the great emperor's mausoleum, only the Jade Lake's sacred ground remained unscathed due to special reasons. The other factions, even the great emperors, were almost completely wiped out. Ancestral Master, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo walked over. Both of their faces were filled with the joy of surviving a calamity. Ning Tian nodded, but his expression was still solemn, because the trial wasn't over yet. 5 people. At this moment, the young Sanqing's gaze fell on the 5 of them and said lightly, "You're doing well this time. There are at least 5 of you. Many years ago, no one walked out of this stage. No one." Hearing this, the 5 of them sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that they were relatively lucky. However, don't be happy too early. The young Sanqing said lightly, a hint of coldness flashing in his eyes. Because, next, there's the last trial. The last trial. Ning Tian and the other 4's hearts suddenly tightened. Next, the young Sanqing's words made the 5's eyes burn with passion. As long as anyone can take the last trial, the Emperor's inheritance and the countless treasures in the Great Emperor's mausoleum will belong to you. The Great Emperor's inheritance. The treasures in the Great Emperor's mausoleum. If these 2 things were released, it would probably cause an uproar in the entire heavenly spirit region. That was the Great Emperor's inheritance. Senior 3rd Saint, may I know what the final trial is? Lu Kun looked respectfully at the young Sanqing and asked carefully. The other 4 also looked at him. Hee. The young Sanqing smiled faintly, but didn't say anything. He waved his hand. The space around the 5 of them changed and immediately appeared in a palace in the Great Emperor's mausoleum. Void transposition. Is this the Great Emperor's method? Ning Tian murmured. It wasn't the first time he saw void transposition. It was when he pounced on Luo Wuqing. She used void transposition and he appeared in the mountain spring from the room. Pouncing into the cold mountain spring at night. The feeling was cold just thinking about it. Your final trial, that is. The young Sanqing's voice sounded faintly. He floated above the main hall and looked down at Ning Tian and the other 4. Hearing this, the 5 of them became nervous. The last trial is to kill me. The young Sanqing's voice sounded indifferent, as if there was no emotion in his voice. What? Kill the Great Emperor? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Ning Tian instantly frowned. Although this Sanqing was only a trial examiner set up when he was young, the power he contained was still the power of a great emperor. Not to mention them. Even if a peak heavenly venerable powerhouse came, they might not be able to kill him. Not to mention them. Senior Sanqing, you must be joking. With our strength, even if we join forces, we can't kill you. Lu Kun laughed bitterly. Yeah, what's our strength and what's your strength? Li Ren also sighed. Among them, besides him and Lu Kun, who were peak heavenly emperors, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo were only 1-star heavenly emperors. There was also the Tim cult's patriarch who was earthly monarch. How could they fight? They couldn't win even if they fought with their lives on the line. What's the hurry? The young Sanqing glanced at Lu Kun and Li Ren indifferently. Did I say I would use the power of a great emperor to deal with you? Then what do you mean? Lu Kun was stunned. The other 4 narrowed their eyes, as if there was still a chance. Humph. The young Sanqing snorted with arrogance in his eyes. Before the emperor became a great emperor, he was invincible in the same realm. Whatever strength you have, the emperor will use the same strength to fight you. If you can't even defeat the emperor, even if you become a great emperor, you'll still be trash in the battle of the gods. Using the same strength? Hearing Sanqing's words, Ning Tian and the other 4 were shocked. Although the difficulty was reduced, wasn't the great emperor invincible in the same realm when he was young? Facing a great emperor powerhouse, even if they were in the same realm, the chances of winning were still very low. However, it didn't mean that there was no chance of winning. You guys, who's next? The young Sanqing looked at the 5 and asked. Chapter 112. Hearing young Sanqing's words, the 5 of them couldn't help but be stunned. All of them were a little hesitant, but also a little tempted. They wanted to get the inheritance, but they were afraid that they weren't Sanqing's match. Therefore, their eyes were filled with conflict. Young people, if you want something, you have to pay the price. Young Sanqing looked at the 5 of them meaningfully. If you hesitate, you may lose. Hearing this, Everyone fell silent for a moment. Ning Tian, who heard and saw this scene, couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Sansheng should have another sentence after his words. If you're decisive, you'll give it away. Suddenly, Lu Kun seemed to have been enlightened. His eyes flickered with a strong fighting spirit, and the spirit qi in his body surged wildly. All right, just because of Senior Sansheng's words, I, Lu Kun, am willing to accept the challenge. He took a step forward and bowed slightly at Sansheng. Good, very good. The young Three-Saint Great Emperor nodded. He looked at Lu Kun. You're at the peak of the Holy Emperor realm. Emperor reached the peak of the Holy Emperor realm at the age of 20. Emperor Li will fight you with the same strength. After saying that, Sansheng's body flashed with a faint light, and he transformed. In the next second, he became even younger. His smooth and fair face had sharp edges and corners. He was simply a handsome man with a graceful demeanor. Just as Sansheng's remnant soul had said, he was the most handsome man in the Tianling domain when he was young. Reached the peak of the Holy Emperor realm at the age of 20? Looking at Sansheng's appearance, Lu Kun's mouth twitched, and a trace of shock flashed across his eyes. Although he was also at the peak of the Holy Emperor realm, he was almost 40 years old. He was middle-aged. However, Sansheng was 20 years ahead of him. Is this the talent of a great emperor? Lu Kun laughed bitterly. No wonder they were great emperors. When they were young, they were all monstrous existences. TSK, Zhu Yuanbua and Ling Ao sighed. They were only 21 years old, but they were only at the 1-star of the Saint King realm. This difference, peak Saint Emperor at the age of 20? The corner of Ning Tian's mouth twitched. He was also 20 years old, but he was only a 4 stars Earth King. System, you have to reflect on yourself. Is it your problem or mine? The system was unconvinced. Host, have you seen anyone who can jump from a 1-star martial artist to a 4-star Earth King in just a few months? For whole realms. Ning Tian was speechless. Cough, cough. That seemed to make sense. Phew. Lu Kun took a deep breath and calmed the fear in his heart. Soon after, he gritted his teeth and looked at the younger Sansheng. Senior Sansheng, I'm ready? Yes. Sansheng nodded faintly, his tone slightly cold. Since you're ready, let's begin. As soon as he finished speaking, Sansheng suddenly stood still on the spot. Huh. Lu Kun was stunned, and a trace of seriousness flashed in his eyes. Boom. At this moment, there was a sound of something breaking through the air. Unknowingly, Sansheng had appeared beside Lu Kun, and his palm carried a strong wind as it blasted toward him. What? Lu Kun's pupils suddenly shrank. What a fast speed. Then wouldn't the Sansheng be an afterimage? He looked out of the corner of his eye and saw Sansheng, who stayed on the spot, slowly dissipating. It was indeed an afterimage. This speed was simply like a ghost. Thick earth defense. Facing the palm wind, Lu Kun knew in his heart that it was impossible to dodge, so he could only use a defensive martial art. And he was also an elder of the Thick Stone sect. Their sect had a special characteristic, which was that they were proficient in defensive martial arts. As the martial arts circulated, layers of yellow spirit energy circulated on Lu Kun's body like rocks, forming a solid defense. Oomph! Seeing this, Sansheng's expression did not change, and he still blasted out with his palm. Boom! The palm landed. There was a huge explosion. Crack! Lu Kun's face was flushed red, and he desperately circulated his spirit energy, but the rock defense on his body was still like tofu, and it suddenly shattered. Barf! Lu Kun spat out a mouthful of blood, and his entire body was directly sent flying, crashing heavily into the wall of the main hall. A huge deep hole was smashed out. His breath and vitality were all gone. There was a big bloody hole on his chest, and it was obvious that the palm wind had penetrated his chest. Hiss! Seeing this scene, Ling Ao and the others all sucked in a breath of cold air. Was the great emperor really so invincible when he was young? Invincible in the same realm. Killing an expert in the same realm in one move. Most importantly, it was so simple and effortless. Palm Dao. Ning Tian narrowed his eyes, and his gaze fell on Sansheng's palm. on which there were waves of palm Tao dissipating. Just this palm alone was enough to prove that Sanqing's palm Tao had already reached a higher level when he was in the Holy Emperor stage. It's over. Sanqing looked at the remaining four and said lightly, "Who's next?" Hearing this, they fell silent again. Li Run saw that Lu Kun was killed in one move, and his entire body trembled. His strength was about the same as Lu Kun's, and if Lu Kun could be killed in one move, then there was no need for him to think about it. This, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbua also gritted their teeth, feeling uneasy. Both of their identities were not simple. One was the most talented junior of the Lingshu sect, and the other was the holy son of the heavenly treasure sacred ground. Naturally, they were not willing to bet their lives here. "None of you dare?" Looking at the four people who were motionless, Sanqing's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Senior Sanqing, let me do it." At this moment, a hearty laugh was heard. Ning Tian smiled faintly and looked at Sanqing. "You'll do it?" Sanqing narrowed his eyes and then nodded. A light appeared on his body again, and his entire body changed, and he became much younger again. After the light dissipated, Ling Ao and the others looked over and were instantly dumbfounded. This is? Although Ning Tian was prepared that Sanqing, who was in the Earth Monarch stage, would be very young, he did not expect that Sanqing in front of him would become a 13-year-old child. "Senior Sanqing, are you sure you didn't change wrongly?" Ning Tian looked at the child in front of him with a strange expression. "Humph." The third Saint Emperor's voice had become much more tender, but the one thing that did not change was the coldness. "Don't ask what you shouldn't ask." Ning Tian touched his nose. For some reason, this sentence, which was originally full of dignity, sounded so annoying when it came from the mouth of the child Sanqing. He really wanted to smack this child's butt. "Don't talk nonsense. Isn't the reason why I'm like this because of your Tianma cult?" The child Sanqing gritted his teeth and looked at Ning Tian indifferently. From Ning Tian's clothes, he could tell which faction Ning Tian belonged to. Naturally, it was the Tianma cult. Chapter 113. Huh. Because I'm from the Tianma cult? Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned and confused. Ling Ao and the others were also dumbfounded. "Humph." The child Sanqing let out a childish snort and said lightly, 100 years ago, a legendary female disciple appeared in the Tianma cult. She was extremely talented, and all the prodigies of the heavenly spirit realm chose to avoid her because of her birth. As everyone knows, when a person becomes a great emperor, the spirit energy of the entire spirit realm will be depleted. At the very least, when a person becomes a great emperor, the spirit energy of the entire spirit realm will not be enough to help the person become a great emperor within 5 years. At that time, the emperor was born at the same time as her, and if two people want to become a great emperor at the same time, they will have to compete for the great emperor's opportunity. If they fail, they may never be able to sense the great emperor's opportunity again, and it will be difficult for them to become a great emperor for the rest of their lives. The emperor doesn't like to compete. So when he was 14, he chose to avoid the limelight and sealed himself for 5 years. That's why the emperor's strength stagnated between the ages of 14 and 19. Hearing Sanqing's words, the four of them were shocked. Although Sanqing said seriously that he didn't like to compete, everyone naturally understood that he didn't dare to compete with that person. A woman that even Sanqing was afraid of. TSK. They didn't expect that the Tianma cult had such a legendary person. Ning Tian was puzzled. He had never heard of such a legend in the Tianma cult. However, if it was a female disciple, could it be? Senior Sanqing, may I know the name of the female disciple of the Tianma cult? He suddenly thought of something and looked at Sanqing. Tianma cult, Luo Wuqing. At the mention of this name, Sanqing was a little scared. However, I think she should have participated in the battle for the divine position like me. That woman, regardless of whether she was ruthless or cold, was really strong. Hearing this, Ning Tian fell silent. Ling Ao and the other two also fell silent. Ning Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So, the one who scared the third sage great emperor was his cheap wife. Cultivators don't care about age. It's fine as long as you're good-looking and have a good figure. What are you guys doing? Seeing their strange expressions, Sansheng frowned. I'm fine. Ning Tian shook his head. Sansheng thought that Luo Wuqing had participated in the battle for the divine position, but she did not. This was because at that time, the Tianma cult had two emperors. The previous leader had gone, so naturally, one of them had to stay behind to guard the sect. Ning Tian took a deep breath. His cheapskate wife was a peerless beauty 100 years ago, so he naturally couldn't fall behind 100 years later. Senior Third Saint, I'm ready. Let's begin. He looked at Sansheng and said slowly, Okay. Sansheng nodded. Spiritual energy surged on his body, and then he attacked Ning Tian. Even if he was a 4-star Earth King, his strength was invincible among his peers. Seeing Sansheng rushing over, Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly. He moved quickly and quietly. Almost in the blink of an eye, Sansheng rushed in front of Ning Tian and blasted out with the same palm technique as before. Boom! What a powerful palm technique! Even Sansheng, who is in the Earth King realm, is this strong? Seeing this, Ling Ao's eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness. Looking at the motionless Ning Tian, he couldn't help but worry. Could the ancestral master block such a powerful palm? The palm wind was fierce, but Ning Tian didn't move at all. Why isn't the ancestral master dodging? Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo were stunned. In the next moment, it landed on Ning Tian's body, but it passed through him. An afterimage? Sansheng was shocked and suddenly turned around, only to see Ning Tian appear behind him with the immortal slashing Guzheng in front of him. A hint of shock appeared on his young face. What was this kid trying to do? Hee. Ning Tian smiled. Senior Sansheng, although you claim to be invincible among your peers, that's because you haven't met me yet. As soon as his voice fell, Ning Tian's hand fell on the Guzheng, and the sound of the Guzheng rang out continuously. Music Dao? Soul attack? Hee. Sansheng's face showed a hint of disdain. A flute appeared in his hand, and he also used music Dao and soul attack. Seeing this, Ning Tian wasn't surprised at all. When they first entered the tomb, there was already a music Dao array formation. This was enough to prove that Sansheng also knew music Dao. Ning Tian was a little excited at the thought of competing with a great emperor in music Dao. He plucked the strings in his hand, and waves of soul attack continuously blasted out. Clang, clang, clang. Sansheng didn't want to be outdone either. Two offensive music Dao divine souls rang out, instantly causing Ling Ao and the others to suffer. Although the soul attack wasn't directed at them, the noise was very noisy. The great emperor's music Dao is indeed very powerful. Ning Tian narrowed his eyes slightly, and a confident smile appeared on his face. However, I'm not afraid. Sound-breaking technique, activate. In the next moment, Ning Tian's hand that was plucking the strings suddenly changed, and the sound of the Guzheng that was completely different from before sounded again. Clang, clang, clang. What? Seeing this scene, Sansheng was stunned. This guy could suddenly change the sound of music Dao. Wasn't he afraid that the strings would break? Chapter 114. The music of the Tao of music could not be changed suddenly under normal circumstances. If one did not have a strong attainment in the Tao of music, it was very likely that the heavenly music would lose balance and the strings would break. Clang, clang, clang. However, it was obvious that Ning Tian's attainment in the Tao of music was extremely high. The immortal slashing Guzheng was not affected at all, and the heavenly music continued to play. Interesting. Sansheng showed a hint of fighting spirit on his face. He was used to killing people of the same cultivation level in seconds. It was his first time fighting someone for so long. Then, he played his flute again and unleashed a series of Tao of music attacks. However, at that moment, when his flute sounded, it was drowned out by the sound of the Guzheng. Then, it disappeared and became silent. Sansheng was stunned. He tried again, but it was exactly the same as before. You, Jade Lake Sonic Art? He suddenly thought of something, and a hint of shock flashed across his eyes. The only thing that could break his Tao of music could be Jade Lake Sonic Art. He did not expect this kid to know this move. You've shocked Sansheng. Reward, Ultimate Sound Array. Comprehending it at 10 times the speed. Ultimate Sound Array. Comprehension complete. Ultimate Sound Array? Hee. Ning Tian grinned and changed the way he played the guzheng. The heavenly music was different again. This kid changed the music of the Tao of music again? The child Three Saints' great emperor's eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness. This kid was too strange. 3 tunes in a row, but different ones. Boom. Clang. Ning Tian played the guzheng lightly. In an instant, the ultimate sound was heard and attacked Sansheng. Boom. The sound of the guzheng was filled with killing intent. It's the guzheng music from the stone door. Ancestral Master knows it too? Hearing that familiar voice, Ling Ao and the other's eyes flashed with astonishment. Isn't this the martial art I created when I was a god, the Arch? Sansheng was stunned. How could he not be familiar with the martial art Ning Tian was using? It was his self-created martial art, the ultimate sound array. However, how did this brat know? Child Sansheng was confused. Even though he could use it too, it was a martial art that he could only use in the God Emperor realm. He had already said earlier that he would only use his strength when he was at the same level, which naturally included martial arts. Therefore, he could only watch helplessly as the martial arts he had created attacked him. The sound of death reverberated in the air. Divine Soul Attack. Shake. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted as he roared. Soul Attack. Soul Suppression. Shake. As the system's voice rang out, it turned out that the sound of death was mixed with some soul attacks. Boom. Boom. What? Sansheng's eyes flashed with astonishment. He was once again shocked by Ning Tian. He had actually modified the absolute kill sound formation. Originally, it could only attack the physical body. Now, it could even attack the spirit. You have once again shocked the 3 sage great emperors. Reward, Divine Soul Destruction, Soul Perish, Soul Attack. When playing music, it can cause the opponent to see illusions and be stunned for a short period of time. Comprehending at 10 times the speed. Soul Destruction. Comprehension successful. Soul Destruction? Hee, then I shall use it directly. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted. Today, I will defeat the Arch of the same level. Soul Destruction. Activate. Clang. The sound of a guzheng rang out. The heavenly music was strange. Sansheng was stunned. He looked at Ning Tian, but his expression suddenly changed. There was a flash of fear in his eyes. Why? Why is it her? Under the influence of the soul destruction, he saw an illusion at this moment. Behind Ning Tian, there was a Thearchus phantom. That Thearchus face was beautiful and looked down on everything. This phantom was Luo Wuqing's the Arch Phantom. Hee, it is indeed effective. Ning Tian chuckled when he saw 3 Saint Great Emperors standing there in a daze. He didn't know that the illusion 3 Saint Great Emperors saw was his wife. While you are sick, I will take your life. But at this moment, he could not waste this excellent opportunity to attack. Sky Demon Palm. Dodge, move, kill. Sword Art. Shadow Following. While Sansheng was under the influence of the soul destruction, Ning Tian did not hold back at all. All kinds of powerful martial arts were used on Sansheng. Ancestral Master is too fierce. He is suppressing Sansheng. Seeing this scene, Ling Ao, Zhu Yuanbua, and Li Ren all sighed. Their eyes were full of admiration. They naturally did not know that Sansheng was under the influence of the soul destruction. They all thought that Ning Tian had beaten Sansheng to the point that he could not fight back. Fierce. Ancestral Master is really fierce. After a set of martial arts, Sansheng was in a state of residual energy. He was not injured, but the residual energy that maintained his body was consumed. His whole body gradually became transparent. Finally, Sansheng woke up. Good boy. You can beat me up like this. Sansheng was shocked. He immediately punched Ning Tian in the face. Damn, don't hit people in the face. Don't you know that? This punch was extremely fast. Ning Tian could not resist at all. Boom. The punch landed. It's over. Ancestral Master's handsome face is going to be disfigured. Ling Ao and the others were shocked. However, when the punch landed on Ning Tian's face, the child, Three Saints' great emperor, was sent flying. Ning Tian, on the other hand, was unharmed. Ning Tian was stunned. He scratched his head. He seemed to know what was going on. The title of shameless that he had just received seemed to increase the defense of his face. But wasn't that just a little bit? The system said proudly, yes, it's 100 million little bits. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, Zhu Yuanbo laughed wildly. Ancestral Master's shamelessness can really be invincible. I want to learn it. I'm shameless. I want to be invincible. At the side, Ling Ao and Li Ren's mouths twitched. Could this shamelessness really make him invincible? Sansheng flew out and landed heavily on the wall. The child, the Three Saints' great emperor, crawled to his feet and was stunned. Kid, is there some kind of high-grade immortal armor on your face? That's strange. Why hasn't the emperor heard of an immortal armor on the face? Hearing Sansheng's words, Ning Tian could not help but snicker in his heart. However, this was a good opportunity to attack, dodge, and move. Use the swimming dragon steps to the extreme. In an instant, Ning Tian stepped on the swimming dragon steps and appeared in front of Sansheng in the blink of an eye. Heavenly Demon Palm. He struck with his palm. It landed heavily on the body of the Triple Sage Great Emperor. Boom. It shook violently. Damn, boy. You sneak attacked. Humph. Anyway, I'm shameless. Boom. Bang bang. Sansheng widened his eyes. With a bang, his body turned into a ball of dazzling light and enveloped Ning Tian in a ball of light. Is this the inheritance of the Great Emperor? Enveloped in the ball of light, Ning Tian was confused. Chapter 115. Seeing that Ning Tian actually defeated the kid Sansheng, Ling Ao and the others widened their eyes. F***C. Is the Ancestral Master really that awesome? This is a young Great Emperor. He defeated the so-called invincible young Great Emperor in the same realm. This, Ling Ao and the others' voices were trembling, and they stuttered. Hiss! Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with excitement. If the Ancestral Master defeated a young Great Emperor in the same realm, this meant that the Ancestral Master would at least reach the Great Emperor realm. If they befriended him, wouldn't they have a Great Emperor as their friend in the future? Wouldn't they be able to do whatever they wanted in the future? Hee. I, Zhu Yuanbo, will definitely befriend the Ancestral Master. Zhu Yuanbo chuckled, and his eyes were shining. He muttered to himself, if the Ancestral Master becomes a Great Emperor, he will definitely have a lot of female fans in the future. If I steal his underwear and sell it, wouldn't that, I'll be rich. Hearing Zhu Yuanbo's whispers, Ling Ao felt a chill. This guy actually had such thoughts. Damn it, is he thinking of stealing my underwear? Ling Ao glanced at Zhu Yuanbo, and his eyes were filled with vigilance. As if he knew what Ling Ao was thinking, Zhu Yuanbo curled his lips. Don't worry, I won't steal from you. You're not as awesome as the Ancestral Master, and no one would want your underwear even if I steal from you. Ling Ao. He was going crazy, but there was nothing he could do about Zhu Yuanbo's words, because he really wasn't as awesome as the Ancestral Master. Boom, boom. At this moment, the entire hall shook. What's going on? Ling Ao was stunned. Suddenly, he saw the defeated teenager Sansheng turn into a ball of light and enveloped Ning Tian. Ancestral Master. Not good. Patriarch. Seeing this, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo's hearts tightened. They wanted to rush over and save Ning Tian. Little guys, don't move around. At this moment, Sansheng's voice resounded in the hall. He defeated the Emperor's test clone. The clone itself is the legacy. He is now accepting the Emperor's legacy. The Patriarch is receiving the Great Emperor's inheritance. Hearing this, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo were stunned. Envy flashed in their eyes, but it was only envy. Only the Ancestral Master was qualified to obtain the Great Emperor's inheritance. The others did not even have the right to do so. Keep quiet during the inheritance. Otherwise, you might cause this little guy to fail. Remember, Sansheng's voice rang out. Senior Sansheng, please don't worry. We will keep quiet and let the patriarch accept the inheritance. Ling Ao bowed to the air and said seriously, Sansheng's voice slowly faded away. Looking at the ball of light, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo remained silent. Suddenly, the two of them seemed to have thought of something. They looked at Li Ren at the side in unison. They did not say a word and just looked at him. Li Ren looked at Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbo. Seeing that the two of them did not speak, he was speechless. He sighed. Don't worry, I won't cause any trouble. That's good. You have to understand that if you cause any trouble, the Empress of the Tianma cult will not let you go. Zhu Yuanbo pursed his lips and said meaningfully. Hearing this, Li Ren's body trembled. The dead great emperor was already so terrifying. How terrifying was the empress, who was still alive and could make the third sage great emperor afraid of her. Don't worry. Li Ren's face darkened and said slowly, just treat me as a dead man. I won't say a word. Very well. Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbao both nodded their heads as they looked towards the resplendent ball of light. They were curious. The inheritance of the great emperor. What could the patriarch get? And inside the ball of light, the entire ball of light shone with a resplendent luster. It was like a mysterious space that enveloped Ning Tian. Is this the space of the great emperor's inheritance? Ning Tian looked at the ball of light curiously. The surface of the ball of light seemed to be some ancient runes. Young man, you are very smart. Sansheng's voice sounded in the ball of light. This is the emperor's ball of inheritance. Then, a miniature version of Sansheng, about the size of a palm, appeared in the ball of light. Inheritance. Ning Tian's eyes lit up and laughed. The inheritance of the great emperor. I wonder if Senior Sansheng can let me soar to the sky with this inheritance? Sansheng pondered for a while and gave a reasonable answer. It depends on your luck. Depends on my luck? Ning Tian frowned. Can it let me break through to the Emperor God realm? This? No. What about the heavenly venerable realm? Ning Tian asked again. That won't work either. Sansheng's face darkened. Then what's the use of this inheritance? Ning Tian curled his lips. This won't work. That won't work. Forget it. You should let me out. I don't think a great emperor like you can do it. Sansheng was silent. He gritted his teeth and was anxious. If someone else got the inheritance of the great emperor, they would be overjoyed. But this young man actually despised it? Forget it. I'll bear with it. Sansheng seemed to take a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Young man, the inheritance of the emperor is not a strength inheritance. It belongs to another kind of inheritance. Another kind? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows slightly. Then tell me, what can I get? Haha, it's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. Sansheng smiled proudly. The inheritance of the emperor is much more powerful than the strength inheritance. How powerful? Ning Tian asked. I guarantee that before you reach the great emperor realm, you'll be invincible in the same realm. Sansheng smiled confidently. Ning Tian was silent for a while and said lightly, to be honest, even without your inheritance, I'll be invincible in the same realm. Sansheng was stunned and speechless. How could this young man be so heaven-defying? Those benefits didn't seem to attract him at all. No, he felt that he had to trick this young man. Then, he smiled awkwardly. Ahaha, young man, let's stop joking. All right, let's get to the point. All right. Ning Tian found it a little strange, but she still nodded. This Sansheng was a great emperor after all. His inheritance shouldn't be too bad, right? Ahem. Sansheng coughed and said slowly, young man, do you know that the emperor's title is Sansheng? I don't know, Ning Tian said honestly. Hee. Sansheng smiled proudly, because the emperor became a saint in Palm Dao, Fist Dao, Music Dao, and all three Das. He's known as Sansheng. Therefore, the emperor is known as Sansheng. Chapter 116. Dao Sage. Hearing Sanqing's words, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with confusion. Wasn't the highest realm of Dao the peak? How could there be Dao Sage? As if he knew what Ning Tian was thinking, Sanqing's sarcastic voice rang out. No way, right? Don't tell me there are still people who think that the highest realm of Dao is the peak? Hearing that, Ning Tian's face darkened. He gritted his teeth. Shut up, old man. Anyway, Sanqing couldn't hurt him now. He could scold him as much as he wanted. Hee. Sanqing wasn't angry. He chuckled and said, All right, I won't tease you anymore. His expression gradually turned serious. For those below the great emperor realm, the highest realm of Dao is indeed the peak. However, that's only for those below the great emperor realm. For the great emperor realm, there's still the saint realm. There's still a realm above the saint realm. However, that's only for the unreachable godly realm experts. Speaking of that, Sanqing's eyes flashed with yearning. His expression was a little lonely. He had also yearned for the godly realm, but he had fallen on the ancient road to godhood. Once I reach the great emperor realm, my attainments in Dao can be raised to the saint realm? Ning Tian's eyes flashed with yearning. He knew very well how strong Dao was. Within the same realm, it wasn't just the strength of spirit qi that was competing, but also the attainments in Dao. The stronger one's attainments in Dao, the more invincible one would be in the same realm. Yes, that's right. Sanqing nodded. He raised his hand slightly, and two faint lights appeared. I have 2 sets of attainments in Fist Dao and Palm Dao here. You can take them and see what level you can reach. Only 2. Ning Tian was stunned. He asked, Don't you also have attainments in Entertainment Dao? Sanqing rubbed his nose awkwardly. Although I don't want to admit it, your attainments in Entertainment Dao are higher than mine. My attainments in Entertainment Dao can't compare to yours. So that's how it is. Indeed, your comprehension of the Dao of entertainment isn't too good. Ning Tian nodded, as if it was only natural. Sanqing gritted his teeth in anger. This kid was really asking for a beating. Even though what he said was the truth, couldn't he at least give the senior some face? Sigh. Sanqing was infuriated for a while before he sighed and pushed the 2 light balls towards Ning Tian. Young man, comprehend it well. Yes. Ning Tian unceremoniously absorbed the enlightenment light orb and grinned at Sanqing. Many thanks to Senior Xie Sanqing. Seeing this, Sanqing did not know whether to laugh or cry. You brat, if I give you benefits, you call me Emperor Sanqing. If I don't give you benefits, you call me Emperor Old Man. Who told you to be so naughty, old man? Ning Tian mumbled and immediately began to absorb the enlightenment light orb of Fist Dao and Palm Dao. Seeing this, Sanqing narrowed his eyes. He was a little curious. How far could Ning Tian comprehend it? When Ning Tian began to absorb the enlightenment light orb, a figure flashed across his mind, performing various Fist Dao and Palm Dao. Taking a closer look, this figure was actually Sanqing. The Fist Dao was strong and powerful, and the entire set was smooth and flowing. The Palm Dao was powerful enough to swallow mountains and rivers, and had the power to break through bamboo. Such a high level of comprehension of Fist Dao and Palm Dao, as expected of a sage Dao attainment. Ning Tian's eyes widened as he looked at the figure in his mind that was constantly performing. Then, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Detected that the host has absorbed Fist Dao and Palm Dao comprehension. Comprehending at 10 times the speed. Comprehending. Half an hour later. Ding. Fist Dao comprehension successful. Palm Dao comprehension successful. Ning Tian slowly opened his eyes and gently exhaled. There was a hint of excitement in the depths of his eyes. How is it? Seeing that Ning Tian opened his eyes, Sanqing immediately looked over and asked nervously, I'm not talented. I'm afraid I didn't reach the standard you wanted. Ning Tian shook his head. Hearing this, Sanqing's heart skipped a beat, but he immediately comforted him. It's okay. With your talent, it's only a matter of time before you comprehend Fist Dao and Palm Dao. It's only been half an hour. At this moment, Sanqing still thought that Ning Tian had not comprehended it. Senior Sanqing, I've successfully comprehended Fist Dao and Palm Dao, but I haven't reached the next level. Ning Tian shook his head and sighed. He originally thought that he could directly comprehend Fist Dao to the next level, but he did not expect that he was still lacking. He had only reached the level of minor accomplishment. You've comprehended it? You just haven't reached the next level? Hearing this, Sansheng was stunned and had a strange look on his face. Kid, what's your current level of attainment? Naturally, it's below the level of ascension, with some minor accomplishments, Ning Tian said. Minor? Minor accomplishment? Sansheng's voice was trembling. He swallowed his saliva with some difficulty and looked at Ning Tian. Kid, do you know how long it took me to comprehend minor accomplishment? How long? Ning Tian scratched his head. Could it be that he took too long and Sansheng was not satisfied? 3 years. I took 3 whole years. Sansheng raised 3 fingers and looked at Ning Tian excitedly. And you, kid, you comprehended minor accomplishment in half an hour. It's only been half an hour. When you become a great emperor, there will definitely be a seat for you in the battle for the throne. Just as Ning Tian was about to speak, the system's voice sounded. You shocked Sansheng. Comprehension point increased by 1. Comprehending Fist Dao again. Comprehension successful. Current Fist Dao attainments. Reach higher mastery. Ning Tian was stunned and touched his nose embarrassedly. I'll interrupt. Sansheng was still excited when he heard Ning Tian's words. He was stunned. Just now, I think. Accidentally, my Fist Dao attainment broke through another level and reached the advanced realm. Ning Tian scratched his head and chuckled. What? Not careful. The corner of Third Saint Emperor's mouth twitched, and his heart trembled. Holy F***CK. King accidentally broke through? You shocked Sansheng. Comprehension point increased by 1. Comprehending Palm Dao again. Comprehension successful. Current Palm Dao attainments. Advanced level. Now, Palm Dao has also accidentally broken through to the next level. Ning Tian's voice slowly sounded in the light ball. Sansheng's expression instantly turned to stone. Then, when he came back to his senses, a beautiful voice sounded in the light ball. F***CK. Chapter 117. At this moment, Sansheng's heart was filled with mixed feelings. It took him nearly 10 years to raise his palm path and fist path to a higher level. This was because the higher the attainment of Dao, the harder it was to improve. But even so, Ning Tian had only used half an hour to reach the next level from the beginner level. It was like a dream. Sigh. Sansheng sighed and looked at Ning Tian with a bitter smile. Kid, Emperor takes back what he said just now. If you become a great emperor, you will definitely reach the divine realm. The divine realm was a realm that even he didn't dare to think about. But at this moment, he firmly believed that this junior in front of him, who was only at the Earth King realm, could reach a realm that even he didn't dare to touch. Because Ning Tian had the potential. He had never heard of any peerless genius who was able to improve their mastery of Dao to such an extent in just half an hour. Kid, don't spread the news that you can reach such a realm in half an hour. At this moment, Sansheng's expression was somewhat serious. He looked at Ning Tian very seriously. Even if you have a great emperor behind you, don't spread rumors. There's always someone better than you. There's always a god above you. This world is far more terrifying than you can imagine. Yes, I will remember. Ning Tian nodded. In fact, even if Sansheng didn't say it, he understood the importance of this matter. Sigh. You have to know that the Tianling region is only the 3rd level of heaven, the smallest region in the Jiling region. At this moment, Sansheng sighed again. Don't think that the Tianxian world only has this 3rd level of heaven, the Jiling region. There are also many vast and boundless regions that have yet to be named. Have you ever seen a forbidden area where even a great emperor expert would be instantly killed? At this point, Sansheng seemed to realize that he had said too much and quickly stopped. All right, after saying so much, the emperor only hopes that you can keep your secret well. Only when you become the strongest person in the entire profound sky world will you have the right to protect the people you want to protect. Sansheng sighed faintly. Although the three-saint great emperor had stopped talking in time, he had revealed enough information. Ning Tian was shocked. The heavenly spirit region was merely the smallest existence in the nine spirits region. There were still many vast, unknown territories that had never been named. And that a forbidden zone where even Emperor Realm experts would be killed instantly? Hiss! Ning Tian sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, he finally realized how huge the profound sky world was. Kid, don't tell me you're scared by what the Emperor said? Seeing that Ning Tian seemed a little shocked, Sansheng frowned slightly. Hearing this, the shock in Ning Tian's eyes slowly dissipated. He shook his head and smiled. I'm not afraid. I'm just thinking that this will be more exciting. Sansheng was silent for a moment, and a glint flashed in his eyes. All right, Senior Sansheng, what other good things do you have for me? Ning Tian smiled and looked at Sansheng. You kid. Sansheng laughed and scolded. A halo appeared in his hand again. This is the heavenly level cultivation method created by the Emperor. It's definitely suitable for you to cultivate. Cultivation method? Ning Tian was stunned and frowned. But I already have a cultivation method. What he cultivated was the divine level cultivation method that was compatible with the heavenly god body, the heavenly god record. This also determined that he couldn't cultivate other cultivation methods. No, this cultivation method can't be used by others, but it's definitely suitable for you. Sansheng smiled. With your physique, it's definitely not a problem to circulate two cultivation methods. Physique? Heavenly god body? Ning Tian's eyes flashed with doubt. Then, Senior Sansheng, what is this cultivation method? Sansheng cultivation method. Sansheng's eyes flashed with pride, as though he was extremely proud of the cultivation method he created. Kid, if the Emperor didn't see wrongly, you want to cultivate all 3,000 Great Tao, right? That's right. Ning Tian nodded. With your physique, it's indeed possible, but, Sansheng smiled mysteriously, the more Great Tao you cultivate, the harder it will be for you to cultivate to saint attainment. At most, you can reach the peak of perfection. Is that so? Ning Tian frowned. After hearing that he had saint attainment, he wasn't satisfied with just reaching the peak of perfection. If you cultivate the Sansheng cultivation method created by the Emperor, together with your physique, you will definitely be able to reach saint attainment or even higher. Sansheng's eyes were sparkling with excitement. At that time, when an expert with all 3,000 Great Tao or even higher saint attainment appears, wouldn't the entire mysterious sky world tremble with a stomp of his foot? Hearing that, Ning Tian's blood started to boil as he thought of that scene. However, there was still a problem. Although the 3,000 Great Tao is just a general term, there are still many Great Tao. As for your Sansheng cultivation method, I'm afraid that you can only cultivate 3 Great Tao? Ning Tian asked. Ha ha ha. Sansheng laughed. Kid, don't underestimate the number 3. It's indeed 3 in the hands of the Emperor, and it can only be 3. But in your hands, it's not 3. It's endless. Sansheng's eyes were sparkling. As the ancient saying goes, Tao gives birth to 1, 1 gives birth to 2, 2 gives birth to 3, and 3 gives birth to all things. As for 3, it naturally represents infinity. I see. Ning Tian was a little excited. If he could cultivate all 3,000 Great Tao to saint attainment, or even higher. That kind of awesome scene, just thinking about it made him a little excited. Kid, take this Sansheng cultivation method. Sansheng waved his hand, and the ball of light containing the Sansheng cultivation method flew to Ning Tian. Seeing that, Ning Tian accepted it without hesitation. Thank you, Senior Sansheng. As soon as he said that, he wanted to cultivate this Sansheng cultivation method. However, he was stopped by Sansheng. Don't cultivate first. I have something to tell you. Sansheng waved his hand and said, Oh. Ning Tian's eyes were filled with interest. It's about your heavenly god constitution. Heavenly god constitution? Hearing that, Ning Tian narrowed his eyes, and the playful look on his face was replaced by a serious look. Senior Sansheng, please go ahead. Sansheng nodded. Do you know what a heavenly God constitution is? I don't know. Ning Tian shook his head honestly. He really did not know about the heavenly God constitution. Hearing that, Sancheng slowly explained. The heavenly God constitution is the person who is closest to the laws of heaven and earth, and there are many laws of heaven and earth, such as the common ones, thunder, wind, fire, and so on. And these are just the ordinary laws of heaven and earth. These, if ordinary cultivators focus on them, they can also comprehend a little. However, a person with a heavenly God constitution, even if they comprehend it casually, will far surpass them. However, the most important law of the heavenly God constitution is Chapter 118, Life, Death, and so on. These are the high-level laws of heaven and earth that only the heavenly God constitution can master. At this point, Sancheng's eyes flashed with awe. There was a rumor that a full mastery heavenly God constitution could kill a great emperor with just a glance. The life law in the great emperor's body would be taken away. Without the life law, even a true god would die, let alone a great emperor. His Ning Tian gasped. Just a glance can take away the life law in the great emperor's body? He finally understood how heaven-defying his constitution was. May I ask, Senior Sancheng, how many heavenly god constitutions have appeared since ancient times? Ning Tian's eyes flashed as he asked. Sancheng shook his head and said slowly, including you, no more than 10. No more than 10. At this moment, Ning Tian finally understood. Why didn't he ask Luo Wuqing what the heavenly God constitution was? She always avoided answering. She was very serious about not exposing his constitution. It turned out that she was afraid that he would be killed if he knew about his powerful constitution. However, Ning Tian wasn't the kind of person who liked to show off. Cough, cough. At the very least, he wouldn't take the initiative to show off. With the heavenly God constitution, it was fine even if he developed in a wretched manner. As long as he could endure until the heavenly God constitution reached full mastery, he might not be invincible in the profound sky world, but he would have the ability to protect himself. Now, you know how powerful your constitution is. Sancheng looked at Ning Tian. Ning Tian nodded heavily and bowed slightly to Sancheng. Thank you for answering my doubts, Senior Sancheng. No problem. Sancheng waved his hand. You don't have to be so polite, kid. I'm not used to it. Ning Tian touched his nose. Kid, you should be at minor mastery of the heavenly God constitution now, right? Sancheng asked. Early minor mastery, Ning Tian replied. Initial stage of small success. There's still a long way to go. Sancheng pondered for a moment and said slowly, Kid, the Emperor has a prescription here. If you refine it into an elixir, it should be able to help you reach the middle stage of the initial success of the heavenly god body. Oh, thank you, Senior Sancheng. Hearing this, Ning Tian's eyes lit up. Although it was only a small realm in the small success stage, it was far better than him fumbling around blindly. I'll give you the prescription. As for the spiritual medicine, there might be some in the Emperor's tomb, but there might not be. It's been too long, and the Emperor has forgotten about it. As Sancheng spoke, he raised his hand and a ball of light floated towards Ning Tian. All right, kid, you should cultivate the Sancheng technique. Once you have successfully cultivated the Sancheng technique, this ball of light will naturally dissipate. The Emperor has no enmity with you, so he passed the inheritance to you. This is his hope. Don't let this Sancheng technique go to waste. Sancheng's figure slowly turned transparent and dissipated. Don't worry, Senior Sancheng. I won't let this Sancheng technique go to waste. Ning Tian nodded heavily. Immediately after, he sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend the Sancheng technique. Detected that the host is comprehending the Sancheng technique, comprehending at 10 times the speed. Within the ball of light, Ning Tian began to comprehend, and his aura continued to rise. In the main hall of the great emperor's tomb, Yaoqi Saintis and the others were waiting anxiously. Ever since Ning Tian and the others entered the door of life and death, They had no idea what was going on inside. Just now, Sansheng's remnant soul had disappeared, and no one knew where it went. This made them even more worried. Ancestral Master, please don't let anything happen to you. Otherwise, how can I face the Empress? Supreme Elder, who was imprisoned in the blood mist cage, muttered to himself, full of worry, Your ancestral master who is in the Earth's sovereign realm? You want to come out alive? What a joke. In the blood mist cage, Elder Jian Mei and Elder Tian Feng both snorted coldly. Both of you. Supreme Elder gritted his teeth. If he was not imprisoned in the blood mist cage, he would definitely teach these two guys a lesson. At this moment, in the main hall, the red light in the skeleton's eyes was restored. Sansheng appeared in front of everyone again. Senior Sansheng. Seeing Sansheng come out, Yaoqi Saintis immediately looked over with a worried face. Senior Sansheng, what's going on inside? Hee, the trial is over. Sansheng smiled. It's over? But no one came out. Could it be that they were all wiped out? Ancestral Master. Yaoqi Saintis looked disappointed, and the Jade Lake girls behind her sighed. The legendary Ancestral Master of the Tianma cult died just like that? What the F***? My Ancestral Master is dead? Hearing this, Supreme Elder was instantly furious. Sansheng, you're finished. I'm telling you. You're finished. If our Ancestral Master is dead, just you wait. Our Empress will turn your tomb upside down thousands of times. And your skeleton, we'll definitely use it as a chamber pot. We'll pee on you at night, and continue peeing on you when you wake up in the morning. The Grand Elder cursed. If his Ancestral Master was dead, then what was the point of him living? Sansheng's face darkened. Did I say that your Ancestral Master is dead? That kid is currently receiving my inheritance. Inheritance? Senior Sansheng, do you mean that our Ancestral Master is still alive and has received your inheritance? Yaoqi Saintis's eyes were filled with hope. Yes. Sansheng nodded. Hiss. Hearing this, everyone from Jade Lake and the Celestial Masters were shocked. The great Emperor's inheritance had been received by the legendary Ancestral Master of the Tianma cult. Damn it! Elder Jian Mei's eyes flashed with a crazy murderous intent. Hearing this, Supreme Elder was stunned and scratched his head awkwardly. Ha ha ha, Senior Sansheng. The air in your tomb is so fragrant. What brand of perfume did you use? Don't worry, the Emperor is generous. He won't lower himself to your level for the sake of your Tianma cult Ancestral Master. Sansheng said lightly. Ha ha ha. Supreme Elder smiled awkwardly and scratched his head. Well now, let's wait for the kid to finish the inheritance, Sansheng said. In the main hall, everyone nodded. Inside the light ball, Ning Tian closed his eyes tightly. The Sansheng technique is successfully comprehended. After the Sansheng technique was successfully comprehended, Ning Tian was not in a hurry to go out. The light ball was full of great Emperor spiritual qi, and he could not waste it. It was a good time for a breakthrough. Half an hour later, the spiritual qi in Ning Tian's body expanded like a hot knife through butter. It was unstoppable. Boom. Then, the system's voice kept ringing. Congratulations to the host for a breakthrough in strength. Currently at Earth King 5 stars. Congratulations to the host for a breakthrough in strength. Currently at Earth King 6 stars. Congratulations to the host for a breakthrough in strength. Currently at Earth King 9 stars. After a short while, Ning Tian finally broke through to Earth King 9 stars. He was only half a step away from breaking through to the Holy Emperor realm. 9 stars of the Earth King realm? Ning Tian smiled and stretched. It's time to get out of here. Chapter 119. Ning Tian had already absorbed all the power in the inheritance light sphere. Now, only an empty shell was left. It would break with a poke. Outside the main hall, Ling Ao, Zhu Yuanbua, and Li Rin all looked at the light sphere nervously. More than an hour had passed. They did not know how the Ancestral Master was doing. Li Rin was even more worried. He was one of the witnesses. If he failed, He would not be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. What if the Tianma cult's empress was unreasonable and wanted to kill him? Just as the three of them were worried, a shattering sound rang out in the empty main hall.
Crack.
The three of them were stunned. Immediately, they thought of something and looked at the light sphere. Crack, crack. The inheritance light sphere slowly shattered, and Ning Tian appeared from the light sphere. Ancestral Master. Seeing Ning Tian, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbua's eyes lit up and they breathed a sigh of relief. Ancestral Master, you finally came out of the light sphere. Ning Tian nodded and slowly walked toward them. Seeing Ning Tian walk over, Ling Ao and Zhu Yuanbua asked curiously, Ancestral Master, did you accept the Great Emperor's inheritance? Hearing this, Ning Tian only smiled and did not answer. Let's go. Let's leave this place first. Although Ning Tian did not answer, the three of them saw the slight smile on his lips and the aura of a breakthrough. They understood that the Ancestral Master must have accepted the Great Emperor's inheritance. Ancestral Master's aura. Ling Ao looked at Ning Tian. Ning Tian had just broken through, and his aura had not dissipated yet. This is 9 stars of the Earth Monarch realm? 5 stars in an hour. Hiss. Ling Ao was shocked, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. The first time he met the ancestor was 2 months ago. At that time, the ancestor was only at the spirit detecting realm. At that time, he was still quite disdainful of the Ancestral Master. But in the short span of 2 months, the difference between him and the Ancestral Master was only a difference of 1 star. Wasn't this cultivation speed a little too fast? He finally understood why the disciples of the Tianma cult would shout that their patriarch was awesome 3 times a day. It wasn't without reason. Ancestral Master is simply the role model of our generation. While Ling Ao was still in shock, the system's voice rang out in Ning Tian's mind. You shocked Ling Ao. You are rewarded with 300 points of spiritual energy. Hearing this, Ning Tian did not take it to heart. He turned around and left with the 3 of them. Let's go.
Yes.
Ling Ao and the other 2 hurriedly followed. Unexpectedly, only the 4 of them remained out of the hundreds of people who came in. If Ning Tian had not defeated Sansheng, they would have been completely wiped out this time. After receiving Sansheng's inheritance, Ning Tian knew the Great Emperor's mausoleum like the back of his hand. Soon, following the route in his mind, he led the 3 of them to the inner hall of the mausoleum. In the inner hall, the Supreme Elder, Yaoqi Saintess, and the others all breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. After hearing that the Great Emperor's inheritance had been obtained by Ning Tian, they were vaguely looking forward to it. With the Great Emperor's inheritance, how strong would Ning Tian become? Oh, that little guy is out. At this moment, Sansheng slowly said, Is he out? Hearing this, the Supreme Elder and Yaoqi Saintess's eyes lit up. They looked around, looking as if they could not wait.
There.
Sansheng smiled and pointed to a place in the inner hall. Hearing this, everyone immediately turned to look at him. Boom, boom. A bright light burst out from a stone wall in the inner hall. Then, a stone door appeared on the stone wall. After another sound, the stone door was pushed open. 4 figures walked out. Only 4 people survived? Isn't this loss too great? Seeing this, the few heavenly venerables suddenly tensed up and quickly looked over. Ha ha ha. My sky treasure sacred ground's little fatty is still alive. Seeing Zhu Yuanbua, Jinbao Saint immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Although they had lost other disciples, at the very least, the saint had been saved. Phew. My Lingshu sect's Ling Ao is still alive. The shadowy old man stroked his long beard and also heaved a sigh of relief. Ling Ao was still alive. At least he could explain himself. However, Elder Jin Mei and Elder Tianfeng gritted their teeth as their faces turned ghastly pale. Among the 4 people, none of them were disciples of their 2 sects. The disciples of the 2 orthodox sects had been completely annihilated. What was even more infuriating was that one of the heavenly venerables had made it out alive. Didn't this mean that their 2 emperor-level forces were inferior to a mere heavenly venerate? The 2 of them snorted coldly. Looking at Ning Tian among the four people, a strong murderous intent erupted in their eyes. Now, the legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult had obtained the great emperor's inheritance. This was not good news for the orthodox sections. It might even become a variable in their future plans. Elder Jin Mei and Elder Tian Feng looked at each other and saw the murderous intent in each other's eyes. This legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult must not be left alone. At this time, Sansheng looked at the blood mist cage. Since someone has obtained the emperor's inheritance, then the emperor will fulfill his promise and all of you will be able to get out alive. As soon as he finished speaking, Sansheng gently waved his hand. Boom! The blood mist cage that trapped the 5 heavenly venerables instantly shattered. At this moment, the 5 heavenly venerables also regained their freedom, but they still had lingering fears. Although they were heavenly venerables, they were completely no match for the great emperor, even if they were only remnant souls. After releasing the 5 heavenly venerables, Sansheng's remnant soul floated to the skeleton and then looked at Ning Tian. Little guy, come here. Hearing this, Ning Tian walked up to the main hall. When he reached the throne, he bowed slightly to the skeleton. Senior Sansheng. Sansheng nodded and pointed to the storage ring on the skeleton. Little guy, take off that storage ring. There are treasures in this tomb inside. Now, they belong to you. The treasures of the entire tomb? Hearing this, the heavenly venerables were stunned. Taoist Jin Bao's eyes instantly widened and were filled with passion. This was not because he wanted to attack Ning Tian, but because he was extremely excited when he heard about the treasures. Thank you, Senior Xie Sansheng. A hint of joy flashed across Ning Tian's eyes. After thanking the third sage great emperor, he didn't stand on ceremony and reached for the storage ring. With just a slight force, Ning Tian easily took off the storage ring that Jin Soundless could not pull out no matter how hard he tried. Little guy, this storage ring has long been ownerless. Drip a drop of blood to claim ownership and you will obtain the right to use it. Sansheng's voice sounded in his ears. Hearing this, Ning Tian began to drip a drop of blood to claim ownership. When the black gem on the storage ring flashed with an ancient luster, Ning Tian's mind was connected to the storage ring. Chapter 120. Hee. Ning Tian chuckled and was about to check the countless treasures in the storage ring when Sansheng stopped him. Kid, there are too many people here. You'd better find a safe place to check. I'm afraid that the good stuff inside will surprise you. Sansheng smiled mysteriously. Hearing this, Ning Tian felt that it made sense and simply gave up on the idea. This brat, everyone has become his foil. Somewhere in the inner hall, Elder Jin Mei gritted his teeth and looked coldly at Ning Tian in the main hall. Not only did they not gain anything, but they also lost a group of elite disciples. They had lost both their wives and soldiers. Ning Tian, on the other hand, had not only obtained the great emperor's inheritance, but also the entire tomb's treasures. In this trip to the tomb, it could be said that apart from the Tianma cult, they had not gained anything at all. F***CK. I'm so angry. We can't let this kid go like this. Elder Jin Mei gritted his teeth. Elder Tian Feng also nodded heavily. He had wanted to kill Ning Tian for a long time, but he never had the chance. Let's go. Let's get out of here first. Immediately, the two of them left quietly. In the main hall, Ning Tian and Sansheng slowly walked down. Congratulations, Ancestral Master. Yaoqi Saintus smiled at Ning Tian. Thank you. Ning Tian touched his nose. He felt a little embarrassed when he thought of the last dream and the divine soul connection with the entertainment Tao spiritual artifact. However, Yaoqi Saintus, this silly girl, did not know that Ning Tian already knew about the divine soul connection of the entertainment Tao spiritual artifact. Ancestral Master. At this moment, the Supreme Elder rushed over with a face full of excitement, tears streaming down his face. Ancestral Master. Thank goodness you're okay. Otherwise, how could I face the Empress and the Tianma cult? I was so worried. That, Supreme Elder, please don't cry. Ning Tian looked at the Supreme Elder, not knowing what to do. All right, I won't cry. Patriarch, let me borrow your clothes to blow my nose. A few black lines appeared on Ning Tian's forehead. Then, a roar resounded in the hall. F***CK. Don't come over. Get lost. Upon seeing this scene, Yaoqi Saintis couldn't help but chuckle. The other women of the Jade Lake also laughed, as if 100 flowers were blooming at the same time. Sanqing shook his head and sighed. It's nice to be young. Then, he looked at Ling Ao, Zhu Yuanbua, and Li Ron. Although the three of you didn't succeed, at least you survived. These 3 Earth-tier martial arts are for you. As soon as he finished speaking, 3 balls of light appeared. Sanqing casually pushed them forward. Compared to the inheritance of a great emperor, these things were on a completely different level. Ling Ao and the other 2 were stunned, and a hint of joy flashed in their eyes. They were already very lucky that they didn't die in there. They didn't expect to be able to obtain some benefits with the blessing of their patriarch. Thank you, great Empress Sanqing. The 3 of them cupped their fists and slowly received the balls of light. Seeing this scene, the old man and Taoist Jin Bao's expressions eased a little. If they sacrificed so many disciples and still didn't get anything, no one would be able to accept it. However, now that they had an Earth-tier martial art, this loss was made up for. After receiving the martial arts, the 3 of them were a little excited. Li Ren didn't say anything. After bowing to Sanqing again, he turned around and left. He was now alone. What if they wanted to snatch the Earth-tier martial arts after he left the tomb? So, he might as well leave early. Senior Sanqing, I'll take my leave first. At this moment, the old man and Taoist Jin Bao looked at Sanqing and bowed slightly to bid farewell. Go ahead. The emperor's tomb won't last for long. Sanqing nodded. Take care, Patriarch. Before the old man left with Ling Ao bowed slightly to Ning Tian. Ning Tian nodded and said meaningfully, put away the arrogance in your heart. Your sword might be even sharper. A good sword is no longer arrogant, but sharp. A good sword is no longer arrogant, but sharp? Hearing this, Ling Ao was stunned for a moment. Then, his eyes suddenly lit up as he came to a realization. His face was filled with excitement. Thank you, Patriarch, for your guidance on Sword Dao. At this moment, he seemed to feel that the thing that had been troubling his Sword Dao was completely opened. Seeing Ning Tian giving guidance to Ling Ao, the old man narrowed his eyes and looked at Ning Tian. Thank you. It's okay. I'm just giving some pointers. Ning Tian waved his hand. The reason why he gave guidance to Ling Ao was that he and Zhu Yuanbua wanted to protect him from being disturbed when he was passing down the inheritance. Although the favor was small, Ning Tian didn't like to owe people, so he just gave some pointers casually. Just giving pointers, the old man's mouth twitched, and he laughed bitterly in his heart. His casual pointers were better than Ling Ao's several months of comprehension. Sigh. The legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult was indeed not simple. Farewell, everyone. The old man shook his head, pulled Ling Ao, and soared into the sky. As soon as the 2 left, Zhu Yuanbua came over. Hee, Patriarch, why don't you give me some pointers too? You? Ning Tian glanced at Zhu Yuanbua and said indifferently, teach you how to steal my underwear. F***CK. You. How did you know? Zhu Yuanbua's expression changed. Weren't the 3 of them the only ones who knew about this? Heh. Ning Tian sneered. Did this guy really think that he couldn't hear anything in the inheritance light ball? Do you need any pointers from me? Ning Tian looked at Zhu Yuanbua indifferently. Ahem. Zhu Yuanbao coughed dryly and shook his head repeatedly. No need. Grandmaster, I just remembered that my mother should be calling me home for dinner. Well, I'll take my leave first. After saying that, this guy shook the fat on his body. He summoned Gold Ingot, pulled Taoist Jin Bao, who was chatting happily with Elder Qing Lin, and ran away. In the sky. Soon, Taoist Jin Bao's confused voice came. Saint, what are you doing? My happiness is ruined by you just like that. However, Gold Ingot flew even faster. In the blink of an eye, It turned into a golden light and disappeared. Hearing Taoist Jinbao's words, Ning Tian looked at Elder Qing Lin with interest. He didn't expect these two old men to have such a story. Ahem, Sanqing coughed and urged, you guys should leave quickly. The inheritance is gone. The remnant soul of the emperor won't be able to hold on for long. When the time comes, this tomb will be buried forever. If you guys don't leave, you can only stay with this tomb forever. Stay in this tomb forever? Hearing this, Ning Tian raised his eyebrows and said without hesitation, goodbye. After saying that, he turned to leave with the Supreme Elder. You brat. Sanqing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and said, brat, don't let my inheritance go to waste. Don't worry. Ning Tian waved his hand without looking back. Sooner or later, I will use your cultivation method to make a name for myself in the Tianqian world. Chapter 121. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Tian and the Supreme Elder quickly left. Looking at the back of Ning Tian and the Supreme Elder as they slowly left, Sanqing was stunned for a moment, and his eyes flashed. Senior Sanqing, the ancestral master, is very powerful. He will definitely not neglect your inheritance. At this time, Yaoqi Saintess clenched her small fists and said to Sanqing very seriously. Hearing this, Sanqing smiled. He naturally knew how powerful Ning Tian was. However, this kid seemed to have stolen Yaoqi Saintess's heart again. Little girl, I think you like that kid, right? Sanqing smiled teasingly. Yaoqi Saintess was stunned, and her pretty face instantly turned red. She gritted her teeth and said, I don't like the ancestral master. I admire the ancestral master. Admire? Really just admire? Sanqing laughed. Everyone understood the meaning of his words. Senior Sanqing. Yaoqi Saintess pouted coquettishly, and her pretty face turned red as if blood could be squeezed out of it. Ha ha ha. Sanqing smiled and stroked his long beard. Sure enough, I can relax when I'm with you Jade Lake disciples. That kid is really too smart. If I'm not careful, I'll be tricked by him. Ancestral master? Yaoqi Saintess revealed a smile. Okay. Sanqing stopped smiling and looked at the Jade Lake disciples. I want to ask you for a favor. Senior Sanqing, please say it. Elder Qing Lin said slowly. Sanqing looked at his bones and sighed. Can you help me bring my bones back to Jade Lake? I want to be buried with her. Hearing that, the ladies of the Jade Lake were stunned. They naturally understood that Sanqing was referring to Emperor Yaoxian. Rest assured, Sanqing, you are the husband of Yaoxian Empress. It is only right for you to be buried together with her. Elder Qing Lin nodded solemnly. Thank you. A relieved smile appeared on Sanqing's face. Yaoxian, I'm here. Outside the mausoleum, Ning Tian and the Supreme Elder came out of the tomb. Taishang Elder, summon the Black Dragon Riders. We will return first. Once they left the tomb, Ning Tian immediately said to the Taishang Elder, now that he had the entire inheritance, it was better for him to return as soon as possible. Yes, the Supreme Elder nodded. He naturally understood the importance of this matter. He whistled and summoned the Black Dragon Cavalry. But after a while, the Black Dragon Cavalry that should have reacted still did not appear. Seeing this, Ning Tian narrowed his eyes and quietly circulated the spiritual energy in his body. It seemed that something had happened. Boom. At this moment, there was a roar. A corpse fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground not far from Ning Tian and Elder Qing Lin. Ning Tian looked over. This person was Li Ran, who had obtained the Earth rank martial arts. He was killed? Ha ha ha, kid. You finally came out. There was a loud laugh. On the cliff, Elder Jian Mei and Elder Tianfeng were looking at them indifferently. Oh, you want to snatch the inheritance? Seeing this, Ning Tian narrowed his eyes slightly. The Supreme Elder also took a step forward and blocked in front of Ning Tian. Not only the inheritance, but also your life. Elder Jian Mei's eyes were cold as he said indifferently, Humph, you want to kill the Grandmaster? Just the two of you? You still have to see if I agree to it. The Supreme Elder snorted coldly. In an instant, there was a boom. The aura of a peak, heavenly venerable, instantly erupted and swept in all directions. Peak heavenly venerable, close to the half-step Emperor God realm. Elder Jian Mei and Elder Tian Feng's eyes flashed a touch of seriousness. They then smiled and said, "You are indeed very strong, but you are no match for us." Huh. The Supreme Elder was stunned. Hearing their words, Ning Tian had a bad premonition. Boom. At this moment, the entire Ill-Wind mountain range was filled with an Emperor Realm aura. Boom. Boom. In the sky, a middle-aged man in a white robe appeared from the void. Solitary Sword Sect Master? Jinren? Seeing the man in a white robe, the Supreme Elder's face suddenly changed. This was a genuine Emperor God expert. Huh. How can you call the Emperor by his name? Jinren frowned slightly in the sky. There was a faint look of displeasure on his face. He raised his finger and pointed at the Supreme Elder. Boom. The powerful Emperor God expert's aura fell on the Supreme Elder's body. Puff. The Supreme Elder spat out a mouthful of blood, and then his body flew out. Boom. 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 He only stopped when he crashed into 5 or 6 mountains and was buried in the mountains. God Emperor Realm Expert. Ning Tian looked at Jian Run in the sky with an ugly expression. Damn it. How could he be targeted by these Emperor God experts so easily? You are the patriarch of the Tianma cult? Trash. Jianren looked at Ning Tian indifferently. His eyes were indifferent as if he was looking at an ant. He raised his hand and pointed indifferently, wanting to end his life. Haha, this brat can finally die. Elder Tianfeng was very happy. Boom. The terrifying Emperor Realm aura fell on Ning Tian. Boom. The terrifying aura exploded, and the surrounding trees were destroyed. The ground shook violently and the soil and stones shattered. This brat should be dead by now, right? Jian Mei and Tianfeng looked over. The dust dissipated. However, they saw Ning Tian standing there unscathed. Seeing this scene, Jianren's eyes flashed with confusion. Jian Mei and Tianfeng were also stunned. What was going on? Jianren was a 2-star Emperor Realm Quasi-Emperor. How could he not kill Ning Tian, who was only at the Earth King realm? Ning Tian was also stunned. After a long while, he touched his face and seemed to have thought of something. Jianren seemed to have attacked his face in order to humiliate him. System, isn't the defense of my face a little too high? The system reminded him, it's not high, it's not high. It's only 100 million points high. However, the host needs to be careful. If he attacks other parts of your body, you will be like tofu dregs and will shatter with a touch. Understood. At this moment, Ning Tian rejoiced in his heart. This shameless title was really a great foreshadowing. Shamelessness had indeed saved his life. The Emperor doesn't believe this. Jianren narrowed his eyes and a trace of killing intent finally flashed in his eyes. A mere Earth King realm, the Emperor can't do anything to you? His voice faded. An even more terrifying attack came. This time, it wasn't Ning Tian's face. Ning Tian's face changed. Facing this attack, could it be that he had to find an angle and use his face to receive it? But this damn attack was too fast. He couldn't receive it. The Emperor Realm attack was only a few meters away from Ning Tian. Impudent! You dare to kill the successor of the Emperor? A furious roar came from the martial monarch tomb. At this time, the third Saint Emperor finally noticed what was happening outside. Chapter 122. Humph! A cold snort resounded. In an instant, Jianren's Emperor-level attack was intercepted. Bang! That terrifying aura seemed to explode in front of Ning Tian. Even though Ning Tian immediately activated the roaming dragon steps and leaped 100 meters away, she was still affected by the shockwaves. His whole body was directly blasted away by the power of the explosion. He landed heavily on the ground. This kid dodged it? Jinren was shocked. Ancestral Master! Seeing this scene, Yaoqi Saintess's pretty face changed slightly. She immediately ran over and looked at Ning Tian worriedly. Wah! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Ning Tian coughed twice. I'm fine. Help me up. Yes, ancestral master. Don't move. Yaoqi Saintis nodded and carefully helped Ning Tian up from the ground. You have shocked Jianren. You are rewarded with a teleport card. Teleport card. Can move a short distance. Invalid. TSK, Ning Tian ignored the system's voice and spat out the blood in his mouth. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at the sky. Sanqing's skeleton appeared above the mausoleum and his remnant soul appeared. He looked at Jianren indifferently. A mere emperor-to-be dares to hurt the successor of the emperor. How presumptuous. Hee. Jianren looked at Sanqing without fear. His eyes were cold. So what if you were a great emperor when you were alive? Don't forget that you are already dead. With your soul that is about to dissipate, how many moves can you make? What a joke. Hearing this, Sanqing was silent and narrowed his eyes. Indeed, after passing the great emperor's inheritance to Ning Tian, his soul energy began to gradually dissipate. But even so, he would never let this emperor-to-be in front of him hurt Ning Tian. Heh, so what if your soul energy is gone? That emperor will kill you in a few moves. Sanqing sneered. Then, he looked at Ning Tian and said, Kid, watch carefully. The emperor will show you one last time what Palm Dao and Fist Dao are. Upon hearing this, Ning Tian's expression turned serious. Then I shall wait and see. Ha ha ha. Palm Dao must have enough momentum to shatter mountains and rivers. As for Fist Dao, there's no need for fancy moves. You only need to be motivated and powerful, and you can defeat your enemy with a single punch. Sanqing laughed loudly. Then, he used his left hand as a palm and his right hand as a fist. Rumble. In that instant, Ning Tian felt as if he could see the endless mountains and rivers behind Sanqing's back, but all of them were destroyed with a single palm strike. Boom. This aura, seeing that even though it was just a remnant soul, its aura was still so powerful, Jianren's expression changed. Were great emperors really that terrifying? Damn it! Jianren clenched his teeth and prepared to use all of his strength to resist. At that instant, an indifferent voice appeared behind him. Get out of the way. You're no match for him. Behind him, a white-haired old man in a black robe appeared from the void. His body emitted a silver glow, and his aura was far stronger than Jianren's. Upon hearing this voice, Jianren was stunned for a moment before joy flashed across his eyes. Alliance Leader. Behind him was the Alliance Leader of the Righteous Dao Alliance, Emperor Just Sky. Emperor Just Sky? Elder Qing Lin's eyes flashed with shock. Great emperors? Upon hearing this, Ning Tian, Yaoqi Saintis, and the others were stunned. The Alliance Leader of the Righteous Dao Alliance, Emperor Just Sky, glanced at the Fist Dao and Palm Dao and said coldly, How can this be called Palm Dao and Fist Dao? What a joke. As soon as he finished speaking, Emperor Just Sky raised his hand. With one palm, he suppressed Sanqing's Fist Dao and Palm Dao. Great emperors? Sanqing's expression changed. If he was still alive, he would not be afraid of Emperor Just Sky at all. However, he was just a soul now. You're just a remnant soul. Disperse. Emperor Just Sky's tone was emotionless as he slammed his palm towards Sanqing's skeleton. From the looks of it, not only did Emperor Just Sky want Sanqing's soul to disperse, but he also wanted him to be completely obliterated. No. Yaoqi Saintis' expression changed drastically. They had promised Sanqing that they would bury his skeleton beside Emperor Yaoxian. Is it over? Sanqing's expression was bitter. He was already a dead person. Even if his soul was dispersed, it did not matter. However, he still felt some regret in his heart. In the end, he still could not be buried with her. At this moment, just as Emperor Justski's palm was about to land on the skeleton, a figure flashed past and carried Sanqing's skeleton on its back and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Boom! The palm landed on the great emperor's tomb. Rumble! In an instant, the enormous palace collapsed and was razed to the ground. The palm hit nothing. Righteous Sky Emperor was stunned for a moment. When he saw who it was that had saved Triple Sage Emperor's skeleton, He was shocked. How could it be him? Phew. Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief and slowly put down Sanqing's skeleton. Earlier on, he had used the teleport card to carry Sanqing's skeleton away. Kid, thank you. Sanqing's expression was bitter. To his surprise, under the attack of the Great Emperor, the one who saved him was Ning Tian, who was at Earth Monarch Realm. It's okay. I just saved a life. Ning Tian shook his head. At this moment, a voice rang in his mind. You have shocked Emperor Just Sky. Reward: Great Emperor Summoning Card. Great Emperor Summoning Card. Can summon a Great Emperor. Ignores Teleport Card. Invalid after use. Great Emperor Teleport Card? Ning Tian's eyes lit up and immediately laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? In the sky, Emperor Just Sky narrowed his eyes. I'm laughing? Hee. I'm laughing at how you're about to run away in a sorry state. Ning Tian sneered. Presumptuous. There was a flash of anger in Emperor Just Sky's eyes. Let's see who's the presumptuous one. Ning Tian was not afraid at all. He shouted in his heart. System, use Great Emperor Summoning Card. Summoning, Luo Wuqing, Queen Mother of the West. Using Great Emperor Summoning Card. Summoning, Luo Wuqing, Queen Mother of the West. Summoning successful. Rumble. Suddenly, in the sky, thunder roared and the sky darkened. It was as if the world had changed colors. Two extremely terrifying auras instantly swept through the entire ominous Wind Mountain. Chapter 123. Boom. Two terrifying auras appeared out of nowhere. The entire Chill Wind Mountain range seemed to have been sucked dry of spiritual chi. Even the space was trembling. What terrifying auras! Sensing these two auras, apart from Emperor Zhengtian, who was not affected much, everyone else felt a powerful pressure. Their bodies trembled, and they did not even dare to breathe loudly. This is the aura of a great emperor? Strange. Why is one of them so familiar? It seems to be the Sacred Master? Elder Qing Lin was confused. She did not inform the Queen Mother of the West. Why would the Queen Mother of the West appear here? The aura of a great emperor and two women? Sanqing squinted his eyes and murmured. A dangerous thought popped up in his mind. Could it be that Ning Tian, that brat, had two wives? And both of them are great emperors? Sanqing was shocked. He could not help but give Ning Tian a thumbs up. Good boy, you have good luck with women. They are the Empress of the Tianma cult and the Queen Mother of the West from the Jade Lake Sacred Ground? Emperor Zhengtian quickly recognized the two auras of a great emperor. His eyes lit up. Above the sky, two figures of light appeared in the void. The light dissipated. Two beautiful figures appeared. At this moment, a hint of doubt appeared on the two women's stunning and beautiful faces. Strange. Wasn't I organizing the heavenly demon files just now? Luo Wuqing squinted her eyes. She was dealing with something just now. However, an irresistible force appeared in front of her and pulled her into the void. In the next moment, she appeared here. The Queen Mother of the West was also confused. At this moment, the veil on her face was nowhere to be seen. She was like Luo Wuqing. However, she was preparing to take a bath in the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. As soon as she took off her veil, she appeared here. Fortunately, she did not take off her clothes. Otherwise, it would be awkward. Luo Wuqing. Seeing the familiar figure in the sky, Sanqing could not help but take a closer look. He was so shocked that he stuttered. What the F***ck? Ning Tian's wife is Luo Wuqing? Sanqing felt as if 10,000 alpacas were running through his heart. Luo Wuqing, who was not a great emperor at that time, her suitors could line up the entire heavenly spirit region. Now that she had become a great emperor, no one was worthy of her. However, that idiot, Ning Tian, was Luo Wuqing's husband. Third Sage Great Emperor was completely dumbfounded. F***ck. He cursed in his heart. If I had known earlier that this little fellow was Luo Wuqing's husband, why would I have set up this damn trial? Just give the inheritance to him. He understood how high Luo Wuqing's standards were. If Ning Tian was worthy of her, at the very least, there would be unlimited possibilities in the future. What he wanted was to pass on his legacy to someone who could shine brightly. However, why are you standing up for this brat now? Emperor Just Sky narrowed his eyes and looked at the Empress of the West. There was a questioning tone in his voice. Oh? The Empress of the West raised her eyebrows slightly and said indifferently, Then may I ask, Emperor Just Sky? You claim to be on the righteous path, and you're a great emperor expert. Why are you attacking a mere Earth Monarch Jr.? I, the Emperor, have never heard of someone from the righteous path doing such a shameless thing. You, Emperor Just Sky was furious. Below, the people who heard the Empress of the West's words had strange expressions. They could not help but snicker. Ning Tian's eyes flashed. The Empress of the West was having a good time scolding him. This was exciting. Empress of the West, why are you wasting your breath on him? Luo Wuqing looked at Emperor Just Sky indifferently. Even if the other party was a great emperor expert, the killing intent in her eyes did not diminish at all. Just Sky, you dared to hurt him. Prepare to pay the price. As soon as she finished speaking, a treasure sword flashing with cold light appeared in Luo Wuqing's hand. It vaguely emitted an aura. It was an immortal artifact. Luo Wuqing, think carefully. You and I are both great emperors. If we fight, the entire Chill Wind Mountain range will be razed to the ground. Seeing Luo Wuqing taking out an immortal artifact without saying anything, Emperor Jusky's expression changed slightly. He was not prepared to fight to the death with Luo Wuqing. So what? What does it have to do with me? Luo Wuqing did not care. Her beautiful eyes were filled with contempt. You hurt my husband. I'll take your life. Chapter 124. As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Wuqing's figure disappeared into thin air in the blink of an eye. Boom. In the blink of an eye, she appeared beside Heavenly Emperor Zhengtian. In just an instant, tens of millions of sword shadows flashed and stabbed out mercilessly. Sword Dao Saint. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian was a little surprised. Luo Wuqing had never used his strongest power beside him before. But now, when he saw the thousands of sword shadows in an instant, he was a little shocked. His wife had hidden her strength well. Tens of millions of sword shadows flashed in front of Heavenly Emperor Zhengtian. Each of them was extremely terrifying. Oomph! Heavenly Emperor Zhengtian snorted, and also struck out with his palm. Behind him, spiritual qi turned into tens of millions of giant palms and collided with the sword intent. She's also a Sword Dao Saint? Why is it different from Sanqing's? Ning Tian's eyes flashed with doubt as he muttered, Could it be that the Sword Dao Saint is also based on one's comprehension and varies from person to person? That's right. Sanqing floated over. At this moment, his body was almost transparent. Senior Sanqing, you're? Seeing Sanqing's appearance, Ning Tian couldn't help but ask. It's nothing. My soul is about to disperse. Sanqing waved his hand with a carefree expression. Ning Tian curled his lips. Oh, I forgot you're already dead. It's mainly because your soul is too active. You don't look like a dead person. Sanqing gritted his teeth. This kid was still so annoying. He sighed. Kid, watch the battle of the emperors. It's rare to see a battle between emperors. Your wife's strength is not ordinary. Sanqing shook his head and said. Ning Tian didn't say anything and looked up. Above, the sky shook. The sword intent and palm marks were not extinguished. Even the void was created by the two of them. As the 30-kilometer sword insight descended from the sky, the monstrous and enormous palm smashed down abruptly. Boom. That overwhelming emperor's aura swept across the entire Chill Wind Mountain range. The mountain range collapsed, the earth rumbled, and countless plants and trees were pulverized. In the blink of an eye, the towering mountain range was razed to the ground. Any life that was swept away by the emperor's might was mercilessly taken away. TSK, TSK. It seems that Luo Wuqing is really angry. Shi Wangmu clicked her tongue and sighed. Then, her figure flickered. First, he found the severely injured and unconscious Grand Supreme Elder from the rubble. Then, he teleported in front of Ning Tian and the others. Immortal music filled the air and instantly dissipated the Emperor pressure. It was precisely because of the Queen Mother of the West's existence that Luo Wuqing was able to use his full strength without fear. With the Queen Mother of the West around, she did not need to worry about the Emperor's might affecting Ning Tian. Boom! Above the firmament, bursts of terrifying Emperor auras collided continuously. When the dust dissipated and everyone could see clearly, they couldn't help but be stunned. Apart from where they were now, the entire Chill Wind mountain range, tens of thousands of miles in radius, had been razed to the ground. Not a trace of life was left. So, this is a battle between great emperors. A glint flashed in Ning Tian's eyes, and his heart was filled with yearning. One day, he could be as strong, or even stronger. Just the aftershocks of a battle between great emperors could overturn the mountain range tens of thousands of miles in radius. It was simply terrifying. Boom. In the sky, the great emperor's aura shook again. It's here again. A look of helplessness flashed in the Queen Mother's eyes. Then, she played the immortal music again to protect everyone. When everyone looked again, the entire Chill Wind mountain range had not only been razed to the ground, but also formed a bottomless abyss. A look of worry flashed in Ning Tian's eyes as he looked at the sky. Don't worry. The Queen Mother glanced at Ning Tian. Your wife is terrifyingly strong. In a one-on-one battle, very few people can defeat her. Ning Tian nodded silently. At the same time, a strong desire for power welled up in his heart. Look, it seems like there's a result. At this moment, Sanxing's voice sounded. Hearing this, everyone looked up at the sky. At this moment, Luo Wuqing was unscathed, and his aura was stable. On the other hand, Great Emperor Zhengtian was covered in blood, and his aura was chaotic. The Great Empress won? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Their understanding of the Great Empress rose to a new level. Perhaps. A deep look flashed in the Queen Mother's beautiful eyes. She glanced at Great Emperor Zhengtian. That guy is so afraid of death. I don't think he'll fight with his true body. Hearing this, Ning Tian frowned as he thought of something. Could this be the Great Emperor's shadow? Yes, it should be. Although it's just a Great Emperor's shadow, it has 60% of Great Emperor Zhengtian's strength, said the Queen Mother. In the sky, Luo Wuqing looked at Great Emperor Zhengtian indifferently. It's just a shadow indeed. However, this should be the strongest one among your many shadows. Humph. Great Emperor Zhengtian snorted coldly. It's just a shadow. I'll just kill it. Luo Wuqing murmured. His body merged into the void. In the next moment, the immortal sword in his hand pierced through Great Emperor Zhengtian's body. He also appeared from the void. Such fast speed. You didn't use your full strength just now? Great Emperor Zhengtian's eyes flashed with shock. Do I need to use my full strength to deal with your Great Emperor's shadow? Luo Wuqing sneered. Then, sword intent appeared in his hand. Thousands of sword intents instantly killed Great Emperor Zhengtian's body. In an instant, Great Emperor Zhengtian's body was torn apart. He turned into a ray of light and dissipated. The Great Emperor's shadow was instantly killed. At the same time, in the righteous alliance of the middle state of the Heaven Spirit region. In the secret chamber, Great Emperor Zhengtian spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly weakened. Damn it! Luo Wuqing, how dare you destroy my strongest shadow doppelganger? And Yao Qi, just you wait. After killing Great Emperor Zhengtian's shadow doppelganger, Luo Wuqing looked at Jianran and the other two who were trembling not far away. Great Empress, please spare us. Jianran swallowed his saliva crazily. His indifference and arrogance just now had been tossed out of his mind. Spare you? Luo Wuqing sneered. His tone was slightly cold. You guys also injured him. Do you still have the right to live? As soon as his voice fell, he waved his sword intent casually. The great emperor's aura instantly enveloped the three. Jin Ren's fleshly body was instantly smashed to smithereens, and even his divine soul was directly torn apart. Even Jin Ren, who was a boundary emperor, was casually killed. What about Jin Mei and Tian Feng, who were merely heavenly venerables? The two of them did not even have time to scream before they were casually killed by the thousands of sword intents. After dealing with the three of them, the immortal sword in Luo Wuqing's hand dissipated. Then, she looked at the destruction around her indifferently. Then, she descended from the sky and walked toward Ning Tian. How is it? Luo Wuqing's voice contained a hint of worry. Wife, hiss. Ning Tian grinned. Unexpectedly, this grin affected his wound. It was so painful that he gasped. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.